Ladies and gentlemen, are we ready? Not really, dude. I have so much stuff to talk to you guys about. Holy crap. This morning was horrible. Awful. God damn, I can't drink my water because my microphone's literally right in my face. I know it sounds so bad. I'm sorry. It must be the worst. I might just put on these fucking headphones. I'm tired of it, like, staying on my neck and it hurts. This. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot the thing. Also, I never really seen if I was even, like, lined up properly. Shit, I never did, like, a test. It's a little overexposed. Let's do this. Oh, now my thing's all fucked. Wrong one. Yes. Alright. What is good, Lone? How was your day? Hopefully it's been pretty good, Lone. I might bail on this. I might just go with one of these because it's too much for my dumb head. I don't know. Regardless, dude, it is disgusting, Lone. I am used to, like, spiders kind of being out and about. I say used to. I'm not. I'm still terrified of them. But they're just so prevalent now that, like, yeah, it is what it is. Especially when going from winter to summer. Summer is always just, like, when they just secrete out of the walls, and it's just nasty. But what I have no experience with is the goddamn centipedes. These tiny centipedes are coming out of my, like, out of my sink or something like that. I don't know what it is. It was on the floor in my bathroom, and I was just like, oh my god. And I recently seen, like, a YouTube short of this, of, like, how centipedes' blood and, like, their whole essence secretes, like, a poison to your body and, like, bruises the shit out of your skin. It looked terrible. A dude, like, had a centipede in a shoe, and, like, it broke in there, and yeah, it just fucking yuck. And then the acid, I guess it was, like, blood of the centipede got all over his foot. I don't think it was, like, venom. I think it was just, like, their blood is naturally acidic or something. I don't know what it is. Regardless, I killed that fucking centipede, and I was like, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with like, it's one thing for spiders, you get rid of them if they're getting too close to you or whatever. But a centipede, if you kill it, and what if I accidentally step on it, and then I just, like, its acid hits my foot? Maybe it's only big ass centipedes that have this type of acid. It's not just every centipede, but still, yuck, big yuck. Lone says, what's up? I was gonna say, also, man, there's so many things to talk about when it comes to games. We got, again, I still want to just preface this by saying, like, as much as there will be a lot of me being like, Xbox did a good job, Xbox Showcase was really fun, Xbox, good job, yes, more of that. I also still feel like I just want to point out, it's still very bummed and still very annoyed and frustrated with the whole actions that they've taken up until this point. So I don't want to, like, not, like, just because there's a glow up for Xbox right now, finally having, like, after years and years of development from these studios, finally having something to show off from them. As much as that's really cool and that's, like, a fun thing that, like, finally we're seeing the yield of what, like, years in the making has brought us, it's still it's still kind of shitty of what they did on. So I'm bailing. We're going back to good old faithful. There we go. At least now I cannot have it on my neck. It's almost on my chin's itchy, all that stuff. We'll drop the camera just a little bit. Lone, what do you call it? What episode is Kaiji number 8 or 9, whatever it is? I think it's 8. What episode is that under? Like, what episode are you guys on? Because yeah, I seen that, like, the thing that I was waiting for it to happen in the seasons happened. But I don't know if it's, like, on episode 11 or if it's on episode 12. I would assume it's on episode... The thing that I thought was going to be, like, the season finale, like, maybe episode 12 was going to, like, show off this thing. I thought... Yeah. I don't know how to say this without spoiling it. But, yeah, I wonder... I thought, like, that'd be the thing that they either, like, end on, or that's the precursor of, like, okay, we're going to have that pop on episode 11, and then episode 12 and... we're going to have that pop on episode 10, and then episode 11 and 12, we're going to have, like, the fallout of that event reacted to, essentially, by the other people. There are 10 episodes. Okay, so yeah, that makes complete sense. That's exactly what they're doing then. Okay, so episode 10 has this thing happen, then episode 11 and 12. Well, maybe not, because I think you're one episode behind, potentially. Mic audio is sounding... mic audio sounds... might just be on my... Wait, is the mic audio sound off? What do you mean? Let me know. Lone, is the mic audio sound weird to you? Is it off, or is it sound shit? Is it pointed in a weird way? Sorry about this. No, the microphone little end is in the right place. Sorry. Also, man, there's so many things I didn't notice about the Doom trailer. There's like a minigun that crushes skulls. Sounds fine on my... Okay, so hopefully it's not that. Okay. But there's a minigun that like you drop like demon skulls into, and then it like breaks up the skulls, and then it shoots them out of like a minigun. It's so cool. It's like a little little angle grinder thing, and you just sit there as all these things crumble. It is fire. So good. I cannot wait for this. I will say, I do think 2025 is looking like the most freakishly stacked year in like we've ever had. The fact that that's coming out, the fact that GTA is coming out for sure. Yeah, right, it's going to get delayed for sure. But anyways, yeah, let's just say it's coming out. And then we have like Fable's coming out next year, supposedly some point next year. There's going to be so much. And I think there was another 3 that said that they were not coming out this year, but next year. And it's just like, I'm kind of hoping some of these get delayed, because it's like, that just seems like way too stacked of a year. Like, and all of them, like, it would be one thing if they were all like individual experiences, like a God of War that you can like bang out within 2 weeks, maybe like 4 weeks if you want to get into all the bonus stuff. But these are like big games, like GTA. It's gonna take like a year, like 4 months of your life. What do you call it? All the other shit, same thing. Fable probably gonna take, well, for me it's gonna take up eons of my life, but yeah, there's a lot of shit there. You know, a lot of shit there. Also, what do you call it, Lone? I'm reading this manga, and oh my god, let me tell you, it's got one of the more interesting premises that I think people who enjoy, like, who have watched too many isekai/fantasy shows or manga would like. Especially if you really, and I kind of feel like I'm very much this person, I really dislike like the overly virtuous classic Japanese hero. What I mean by Japanese, or that sounds kind of racist. What I mean by that is there's like a trope essentially within certain like JRPG kind of things. I think they have like a specific look to them. I think it's like a JRPG thing that originates in Japan, but it's basically like this dude who has like a crown thing. It's like a circle here, and then it goes into a crown, and then he's usually buff as hell, and he has like a sword, and it's like the generic ass hero that's like super good and kind soul, whatever. But there is this manga that I read that is basically the antithesis of all that, and it's such a fun idea because it was very similar to there's like a board game that I've always wanted to play. It's like seems like the funnest board game if you actually had a group of friends to play with, but it's called the Red Tavern Inn, I think is what it's called. And one of the characters, so the way the game works is basically you let's just tell you half of it. There's like a bunch of characters that you can choose, and each character has like bonuses for like not getting drunk or not having to spend money or being good at one of the various mini games that happens whilst you're playing this board game. But one of the characters is this, basically it's like this knight that has a blessed sword, and he's like an evil Sephiroth, like evil dude, but he was cursed to have this good sword, so he does like a shit ton of damage, but simultaneously the sword will like heal the people he's hurting and hurt him simultaneously. So it's almost like this balance arc of like evil with a good sword. So it's evil guy with a good sword. This is basically the same thing within this manga premise, except there's 2 characters. There's basically a dude and a girl and their childhood friends, and she becomes the saintess, and he becomes like, he gets this hidden sword that makes him a hero. But the catch is that both of these people are the most garbage, terrible, selfish, sinister kind of, in a lot of ways, people, without being like evil, like not like despair, not like people like watching the suffering of people and like reveling in just causing evil. They're more like selfish, like extraordinarily selfish. Like both of them have the ambition to one day basically meet like a noble woman or a noble man and then like leech off of them for their whole life and not have to do anything. So they're very much like lazy bastards who are like always thinking about how they can get an advantage and all these things. And they're so good about like putting up a front about like, so everyone thinks they're the nicest person ever just because they're so good about lying and like not letting anyone see their like fucked up true self. And it's just a really interesting story because they're basically put into the position of like, I fucking hate doing this stuff. I hate being a hero. The stupid sword keeps making me do like nightly things, even though I hate it. And then this girl. The girl is far more entertaining in the story, where like the dude gets kind of exhausting with how much of a dickhead he is. He's kind of just like, this sucks. This girl, you know, her whole family got murdered, and I have to help her. Oh, and it's just like, that's a little much. That's a little like, come on, my guy. This is just annoying. But the girl's much more reasonable about like, this creepo prince, because I'm the saintist, is trying like to mac on me, and that's way too much problem to deal with. Being the fucking like, it's like the prince, so I'm gonna have to become the queen of this nation. You know what work queens have to do? That's too much. That's much more reasonable as far as her shittery than his. But it so far has been a really fun manga. But I will say, it is getting to the point where I'm getting a little sick of like it's almost like the same thing as the hero trope, where it's dude's like, I'll save you with friendship and love. And then it's like, okay, that's neat. Sure, why not? Let's pop off with some friendship and love. I can hear myself. But then it kind of degrades after you hear friendship and love like 7 times within like the same sequence of saving people. The same thing can happen apparently with negative stuff, where like dude's like, I'm sick and tired of helping people. I'm the worst. And then for you to hear that 17 times, and you're like, listen, that's kind of getting a little played out. Could we please move on to something else a little bit? Also, dude, I feel like Dragon Age, like this Dragon Age, I've seen such a mixed reception to it. It's not even funny. It's like, it's just crazy. I've seen people shit on it to bits. I've seen people be hyped as hell. I've seen people who are confused. My perspective on it, it looks very neat. I like the idea of it kind of being a ground, like a reset almost to some extent. Even though I know it's continuing the previous story, it just seems like it's not really like anything like the previous game, as far as art style and all that stuff goes. But yeah, to me, what I think looks neat is it looks like the story and stuff like that makes sense. It's also been a while since we just had a Dragon Age game, so I feel like it feels a little bit more like in place. People are worried that it's going to become It's going to try to be Baldur's Gate, and Baldur's Gate's so good that it's like, well, why would you try to be Baldur's Gate? We also just have like a big ass Baldur's Gate game. But yeah, to me it looks neat. The only thing I kind of worry about is the gameplay looks very weird. The gameplay looks very mid to me. But I've also never really been in love with the gameplay of that too much. But yes, regardless, I don't know. The gameplay looks like there's a lot of times where like it looked like hollow. Like when he was swinging, it just looked like you were inputting a bunch of attacks, and your character was just going through these emotions, and that was it. You know, it didn't really feel like it had any weight or like effect on what you're hitting, which has always kind of been an issue with Dragon Age to me, at least. Feels a little hollow sometimes in combat. I think it's because it's meant to be like more of a strategy game where you're like jumping to this person, activating abilities, jumping to that person, activating abilities. But I don't think they should do that because Baldur's Gate kind of shows that that's like already a really good place to have that kind of whole thing. But it's also been such an integral part to all of those games. So to just BioWare in general, you know, they're like, you get a turn, now I get a turn, and all that stuff. Fluff says the gameplay for Dragon Age is better than the tone of the trailer, but it only shows level 1 gameplay, which doesn't give much for. Yeah, I don't know. To me, I heard people say that like criticism or like point of view of good as well, and it's basically like, yeah, the first trailer was very weird, like the mood of it all, and I just thought, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because like people are such diehard story fans for Dragon Age, but like to me, I didn't really get that vibe. That's where I felt very disconnected from. Like this trailer wasn't basically a very unconflict. What's the word? Unoffensive. There we go. Inoffensive. That's what it is. Inoffensive. To me, it was like, oh yeah, it's a bunch of weirdos jumping through. Like felt like very much like Marvel, which I don't know. It just didn't seem like it was a big deal to be like, this is gonna be dog shit. Like, I mean, okay, guys. I just think it's like introducing you to the new characters that you're gonna be interacting with. Yeah, maybe in like a pop-ish kind of way, but I don't know if it was worth the response that was pretty negative. I'm not sure what kind of people everyone saw, but like to me, it was pretty like, this is dog shit, and I'm like, this is just like a fucking trailer that showcases like showcases nothing really. Now if that's your criticism, that's fair, but often people were like, the tone is shit, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It looks like it's pretty lighthearted story. Fluff said, but the level 1, yeah, the level 1 gameplay I thought was the only thing that bothered me was just not like the people. I also heard people say that it was a little too on rails, like it was a little too guided, didn't have that much choice, all that stuff. But to me, I don't know, I was much more the gameplay, I didn't really get to see anything that satisfied me as far as like what the game, because again, it's something about the Dragon Age like format and all that stuff that looks very strange, like the gameplay, the combat, even in like Inquisition, what do you call Dragon Age 2 or Dragon Age Origins was a little bit better because it kind of looked like it should function that way. But it's really weird when you see like a really high quality game when it comes to like the visuals, the particle effects, all that stuff, and then it's still moving around like you're basically like chess pieces or like you're playing a board game, like where you have your piece and your character's walking around. Like he stops by an enemy and then he starts doing his what's it called stealth build slashes, and you're just like, okay. But like it looks like that makes sense when it was old Dragon Age Origins, where it was like old, like everyone looked kind of gross and pixelated and kind of like stout. But when you're moving into like this new age of all this stuff, it's like, why? Why? I was about to make a joke that like, isn't it funny that like in this weird like a Fallout world, people are holding this like gigantic fucking wristwatch essentially. It probably weighs like 40 pounds, or probably not necessarily, like probably like 10 pounds. Still a lot to hold around every day. 10 pounds, and like how silly that is. And then I was like, okay, but I'm one of these people that believe in VR, which is basically you just having it strapped to your face. So I can't talk much about how crazy that is. It just looks massive. It just looks so present. And I was trying to have a conversation with someone like that. You have a big shackle on your wrist. Fluff says, have you had a chance to look further into Wayfinder? Not since what you've told me. Right now, I've basically tried to find time to do that. I had a little bit of time this morning, so I watched that manga thing just when I was eating my food before the stream. I still haven't had a chance to watch that VTuber thing you sent me, Fluff, but I do want to watch all that stuff. It's all like, I have this thing where I can just get more bookmarks, not bookmarks, more tabs open, and I'm like, I'll get to that in a minute. But then I'm like, there's a new like quick little it's like a 3-minute video that pops up in my sub feed that's like about a music, like a song, and then it's just like plays a song, and I'm like, I'll just watch that and then I'll go edit, because it's just like enough for me to not feel shitty about myself and still be able to enjoy something. But I haven't had a chance to check out Wayfinder yet. It's tough, Fluff, because everything that you showed me makes me like really like it. Like there's nothing about it that looks bad to me. It looks like it's a fun game. Like the art style I adore. I love like the weird shell shaded kind of like cartoony-esque style. But the more I look at it, the more I'm like, it's almost like the VTuber thing. Like I got really kind of like flustered last time talking about it, because I was just kind of like, I was feeling very conflicted about like the whole conversation. But the main thing that I kept coming back to is like, I don't know if I'm doing too many things right now to want to take this on, you know. And I always love taking it, like you guys tell me about it. So don't take this as don't talk to me about stuff like that. But it's me. I'm almost like my brain starts to say like, oh, look at this as like a possible option. And I already feel like I'm a little spread thin as far as like doing VR, doing Destiny, and then also trying to get into Withering Waves. So like to me, as much as I look at that game like it looks really cool, I'm also like, fuck me dead if what happens. Like I try to do like, what happens if maybe I go look at this game and I love it to bits. It looks so sick. That just hurts me because I can't play it. I can't I'm not gonna pivot my whole channel. I don't think covering Wayfinder. I don't think maybe that's a good ending. Maybe it works out really well like that. But yeah. Same thing for the whole like VTuber thing, where I'm like, I love talking to you guys about this, and this is very fun. But the moment I started to think about like, well, maybe we should, how much would it cost to have something like that? Would it be something that we could pursue maybe in the future that could be fun? And also I hate myself because sometimes I'm like, why didn't I, if I was interested in this, why wouldn't I fucking pursue this when it was popping? And now like it's like VTubing is relatively balanced out to being like a thing that is just like, if you have face cam on your stream or not, it's not like a defining curiosity anymore, really. I don't think. I do think it has like use cases that are better than others, but like we talked about beforehand, I think there's like positives and negatives to doing like face cam versus VTubing things and all these things, and even just raw gameplay. Depends on what kind of thing you're trying to get out of content, I guess. But yeah, same thing where I feel like I'm like, oh god, I'm freaking out a little bit. So the Wayfinder one, I want to watch. I will watch the videos you sent me. I'm also kind of hoping that I don't love it as much as I think I will, because it's just going to be a time suck that I can't have forward at all today, or at all this like soon. It also doesn't help that I've just been really busy these last couple weeks trying to manage and like get into the swing of things. But yeah. Love says, not saying I agree with others' opinion on the first trailer. I just I thought it was fine. Yeah. Fluff says, but I went into it knowing it was going to introduce the companions. Yeah. With that brings up a new perspective for me a little bit. More like the companions look neat. I don't know if I loved the new look of the companions. Like the new look of the companions looked a little weird. Also, this has been eating me up for like the last couple bits. when we were reacting to the Xbox Live showcase and such, when like Fable popped on and when a couple of these other ones popped on, I kept bringing up like the jaw of certain characters and the way they look. To be clear, and I think Nub actually pointed. Nub was like, "Man, why do you care so much about like the jaw things?" And to me, I was like, "No, okay." And I realized, oh shit, I'm talking again. Like, is it people haven't been seeing what's been popping up on my feed for like a couple weeks, which is basically like every time I see any of these trailers when it shows like a female protagonist, people, that's the one thing that everyone criticizes, which is like, why does the character not have like what would a lot of people would consider to be like what do you call it, specific characteristics that are associated with people being pretty, whether it's like, you know, not having like a giant block jaw, which is fine, but yeah, and it's also, people also get frustrated, which is, I think this is a valid kind of version of that, which is basically like, well, why do the dudes still look cut and like really good and the women look starting to look weirder? Like, if women are eating what they prefer, why don't men get what they prefer, if that makes any sense? So anyways, my issue is that I always like read comments of like on other videos and kind of observe trends. So when I see something, I hear that little voice in my head that's like the thousands of comments I read that are similar that point out that thing. So it's not that I have a problem with it necessarily. It's just that I know that other people are going to mention it and talk about it. Therefore, I think it's a potential weakness. Or like a flaw that like people will criticize. So then I'm like, oh, well, why did they do this? And it's kind of insane that you don't know that this is a thing at this point. I don't think it's, yeah, like it's crazy. It's crazy that like in the Fable game or in any of these games that people don't know that like we would rather look at something that is as beautiful as you can possibly make it than something that is, or than someone is trying to make it so that they're like as grounded and as flawed in their visual representation, etc. Now, beauty is not a holder all that, but still, that's one of those things that to me has always been a weird thing where we're starting to see that kind of like where they're starting to adjust. Maybe it's because games are in development for so long. That can also be it. So that's hard for them to like adjust to like, oh, maybe this is not the right play to go forward with. But I just want to mention that. I feel like I was kind of like inadvertently being put myself in the box of like that, of people who really care about that stuff, which I don't really care. I would like the character to look as like, I want to live in the best version of everything. So like the best version of a dude who looks maybe like jacked as hell, cut like Nero or like fucking Dante. Any of these characters like are like also fucking like cut and amazing and all that stuff. I'd rather that. I think it's also cool to have like different body types, but to say like, is that the character that we want to play as for 20, 80 hours, etc.? Maybe. But I think even people who look similar to like these specific outlier things, I don't know if they would still prefer to do that. I think they would prefer like a character that they can see in like a companion that shows that they're just as human as everyone else and just as sweet as everyone else, and they shouldn't be looked down upon. That all makes sense to me, but yeah, I don't want to catch up on. I got too much into my train of thought things. Main thing is I want to encourage a strong consideration from picking it up while it is a discount in its pricing, in EA pricing. Oh. What EA pricing meaning what? You mean like EA is selling it, or you mean something else? Probably early access. Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense. One thing you have as an advantage for VTubing is many things are interested in having no stream experience, so you have to be a big leg up in that regard. Interesting. If you have no streaming experience, many that are interested in it have. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, man, that's always the thing that kind of bothered me a little bit about the whole VTubing thing. The amount of times I've seen people who I don't mean this in a negative way, but have no like respect for respect is the wrong word. No, respect is kind of the right word, honestly. Like I don't know, I've seen a lot of YouTubers who like got into doing this stuff and then didn't actually. Let me catch my chat. I'm gonna fucking lose again. I could have one Wayfinder videos play and in the background a couple times. Yeah, that'd be not bad. I do think I want to talk more about this, but yeah, we could do that as soon as we're done looking at that a little bit. I could have Wayfinders in the background. I believe that crossplay, since the others have been stream icon because of their own name. Gotcha. The devs have stated they wanted to provide official modding support for the game, provided to be with full release, so players can have as much fun as possible with it. That's crazy with Wayfinders. Okay, so then yeah, I'll probably buy it. That's all I really need to see ever in a game to do that. What was it? The whole VTubing thing. Again, I really adore it. There's a lot of good examples of it, but there were a couple times where like I remember it was either like I think it was some of you guys who were like you were getting into the stream the VTubing thing, and I remember I went over to some of the ones we rated, and they were always very sweet, like always very good people. But I always got this vibe that like they were kind of sitting there, kind of like almost like there's this kind of feeling. Maybe it's just different. Like I have my own like weird bias to what I think a stream should be, but there are very much like there are streamers who are basically like, oh, I'm just gonna play video games and then happen to stream it, like turn on the stream and then just play video games and hang out with my friends. And to me, that's just like that's exactly the opposite of what you should do. I think you should, if you're streaming to people, and you should try to connect with those people that you're streaming to. Those are the people that are giving you the time of day. They're stopping in and being a part of your community. And I noticed a lot of those VTuber people. Not VTubers. This is across the board. It could be anybody. But it was unfortunate when I seen a person who clearly had invested into like a very pretty good VTuber model, and I think it's probably because they were making them themselves. Like I think they had a background in like the rigging and all that stuff, and I think they just could do it. But it always was crazy to me when I seen someone who had like a really nice rig and all that stuff, and I was like, oh. It did not seem like they cared about like engaging with their community as much. They didn't really care about like being a hostess and like finding fun things for y'all to do, so you have something to like focus on and get all around, and stuff like that. And again, there's bad examples, but those are one of the things I was like, oh, but that was playing off of what Fluff said about VTubers. Basically, a lot of VTubers who do get into it don't necessarily have the experience of streaming, so that's something that you should consider when you're thinking about it, you know. And a lot of people that did succeed really quickly had a background in content creation of some kind, which makes sense. Fluff says, I think most want a pretty protagonist. Oh, I see. I think most people want a conventionally pretty protagonist with the potential for customization than a real protagonist with no words on whether we can personalize them. Yeah. Well, that's what terrified everyone about I still haven't. I think I might make a video on that because I feel like or maybe even at the stream segment I had for it, because I was watching a bunch of videos and people still haven't mentioned shit. I watched the video for Luke, the Luke guy. I tell you guys about him plenty. But he talked about Fable, and it was very one of those things where I was like, it was very much one of those things where I was like, oh, I don't know if you know this at all. like, oh, you're just good about talking about anything, essentially. But anyways, he talked about Fable, and he didn't mention. He focused on the face, which I thought, okay, I know some people are kind of like, the face is weird, but Fable's always had like preset characters, essentially. There's always a bog standard male, there's a bog standard female, and then based on your choices, your character could change. And it would be hilarious. Like, this would be a very Fable thing if you started off being kind of a way, like maybe she looks a certain way, and then you would do a side quest in Fable, which would like be like elixir of beauty, essentially. And you could either be an evil person and take the elixir, or give it to this girl who's had a hard life her whole life and just wants to and loves this person dearly and wants to have the best life possible. This would be the nice thing to do. And if you drank that elixir, you would genuinely get like tradition. Like, that would be a Fable thing. Fable's all about evolution and it's like the capacity for you to choose and to like gain from doing an action, whether it's bad. Well, mostly it's evil. Very few Fable games ever reward you for being nice, besides just like the overall notoriety increasing. But yeah, that's one thing I do hope for Fable 2. I do hope that there's actually like a positive for being good, which in most Fable games there's not. Especially the last one, the third game was you were shit on completely by being good. But yeah, like being good was like you have to work 15 times harder and you get no reward. I was like, oh, what? Bodhi says, yo, I'm a dip in a second, but I wanted to say how we love having you, Bodhi. Thank you for stopping by. Always fun when people do that, but I appreciate it. Fluff says, and that's one thing that worries me about the new Fable. Yeah, also, no one's mentioned that there's been again, that was the one thing that in the video, no one's mentioned that they haven't, like, confirmed the tenets of Fable yet, which I don't know why people aren't freaking out about. Like, the fact that they haven't shown evil, they haven't shown good, they haven't shown, any moralities for that matter, they haven't shown, like, evolution of your character. To me, that's terrifying. I really want, and again, people say that, like, the gameplay looks fine. I don't think the gameplay has never been like Fable's absolute strongest point. Fable's always a game about systems. But yeah, that's what freaks me out about that, man, a little bit. But Fluff says, and one thing about the woman that worries me about the new Fable, there's no word or sign of using morphing our character with clothes, hairstyle, etc. Yeah, that was always the thing that, to me, again, how Fable worked, where basically you could find a way to, like, oh, maybe there's this dope-ass armor that you rocked. Maybe it was like a cool face mask that blocked most of your face, but like you could still see that it was a woman and all that stuff. Maybe there was a cool crown that balanced out your face. all that stuff. But I still think I would argue a lot of the Fable characters look generically like, I would say neutral. I would say like a normal guy, like almost like a fucking harem protagonist or some shit, where it just looks like a bog standard normal person and a bog standard normal girl, like a brunette with like a ponytail, essentially, and like a dude with like just downed hair. It was never crazy, you know. And again, it does look like they're going whole hog with the style of Fable, which again, I have never been more worried for a game I love so much, because again, I've just not seen any of the tenets that I associate with it, and I'm just hoping that they're there, and I'm hoping that they're like, yeah, because all the other stuff, I'm like, it'd be awesome. I'm so, if they showed me that there was morality still strong as ever, if they showed me that I could play a male character or a female character and have some customization to it, I'm fucking all in. If they have magic and combat and any kind of evolution of characters like good and evil, and then when you're good you get horns, or sorry, when you're evil you get horns. If they had that stuff, I'd be locked in. I'd be like, you can do whatever you want. You can tell me a Zoomer story if you want. I'll probably still eat it up, because at least I can play in the game in the world that I loved so much and all that stuff. Oh. Moldy says, I mean, if you go look at the compulsive games, people pretty much just want to learn, even if you stream. It's not interacting at all. Wait, I mean, if you go look at competitive game. Oh, yeah. Competitive game makes sense, but this wasn't the example that I ever seen with the whole VTubing thing. It wasn't like they were competitively playing a game. Because that makes sense. The whole competitive thing, but that even, yeah, like to me, the thing that is interesting is you playing at a really, really high level. And if you stop playing at a really, really high level, then you're no longer interesting. I guess that was the thing that always frustrated me about some of those VTuber things I seen. I shouldn't say VTuber. It's just they just happened to be what I seen doing this at the time. But it was the idea of basically somebody like just turning on like Dead by Daylight and then like just playing a little bit, and then like they never interact with their chat. They never asked them questions. They never tried to learn about people. And they were just like, and it sucked because like their model was great. Like they clearly had like it's almost like a person. And I think maybe I should be more lenient on that stuff, because I feel like I was very much that core. But like a person who, actually bullshit. I wanted to be better. That's my whole thing. Like I may not have been made for this at all, but like I genuinely loved the skill and the act of doing it. Whether it's like playing a game and then trying to find something funny to say, or finding a funny angle on this stupid thing that you've observed, pulling people in these questions and having fun, and creating like events almost like every day, like trying to find out like what would be something that's fun that we could do, that we could all talk about and mingle with and hang out in. And it seemed like some of these people had zero interest in any of that. They were just like, I just have like the best fresh start imaginable, and I'm just going to be like, but what if I did the least possible? And you're like, oh man. Bolty says it, so just streaming and not interacting is kind of decent too. Yeah, but the thing that you have to do, you have to make it so that if you're not engaging with the people who are giving you the time of day, then you need to do something that's so salacious, so provocative, so stimulating that makes up for that difference. This, in my example, I would argue that they weren't doing that, and they had no goal to dabble in anything that was relative to that, i.e., being a really S-rank gamer, essentially, or being a person who gets who talks about specific topics that people love, or people who just talk about drama. Like, these are all things that are like that. Also, I'm surprised we haven't been hearing anything about Mass Effect for a while. I thought for sure we'd hear something. I thought that's what this was for a minute. The chin is so distinct on that one. Anyways, the jaw. I should say chin. It's the jaw. Also the chin. Buddy says, if they deliver the stream value by the proficiency of... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that does work by getting a lot of the examples. That's not exactly what I was seeing. Love says, I mean, I got the best ending by being good and having... No, I know. But that's my point. My point wasn't that there wasn't a good ending for being good or super good in Fable 3. My point was that Fable has always, and this is extremely frustrating, it was both less bad and good in the third game. But I'll explain that in a minute. But basically, in Fable, if you were evil, you always got like a sword. You always got like the elixir that made you young again or made you old. The elixir that made you gender bend, if you want to do that too. So there was all these ways to like they would heavily reward people for being shitty while simultaneously basically making it, and this is probably like an efficiency thing where like the only thing you would get for being good in Fable 2 and whatnot would be basically like a pat on the back of like karma or like notoriety. So like you would be beloved. So like when you're walking down the street, people would be like, I love you so much. Oh my God, you're so good. Which is neat, but like it's probably just easier not to have to come with like, okay, if you do this poorly, you get this reward, and if you do this poorly, then you get this unique award. Instead, it was like, no, you'll always get this bog standard reward if you're good, and you'll always get this unique thing if you're bad. And in Fable 3, it basically got better and worse because Fable 3 was always about money. Like the whole antithesis of Fable was always about you getting more capital. And then in Fable, and then the way the Fable worked basically was, if you were the evil guy and you did the evil playthrough, you would still have an ending that showed that you were good. That because you were a tyrant, but at the very least you stopped your entire continent from getting wiped out and thousands from dying. So you might have been a tyrant, but you actually saved everyone, just like your brother. But then if you were basically good, your reward would basically be you cut taxes, you made an orphanage, but you had no money to defend against this like plague, apocalyptic darkness force that like summoned demons all around your kingdom. Therefore, you were a nice king, but you were foolish, and all your people died. The only good ending was for you to then do everything in the overworld, or, which is what a lot of us did, buy up a lot of real estate, leave your console on overnight, make $1 billion, buy more real estate, go do some quests, and at that point you're raking in like 100K every hour, and then you basically get the perfect ending, which is what the designers I don't think intended. I think the designers intended for you. I think actually they intended that for a little bit, for you basically using the economy system to make a ton of money. But I do think they planned on you basically being like, okay, if you're willing to quote unquote 100% the game, go do this side quest, go open this cool door, go do all of these things, then you can then take all that capital you built up for your adventuring, and then you gave away all of your coffers in your kingdom. Well, guess what? You can then give all of your money, be selfless in that way, defend against the darkness and the evil about to consume your kingdom, and now you're like the ultra king. You not only did you fucking be the nicest guy possible, but you also like burned up all of your capital just so your citizens could live. Or you did it the smarter way, which is if you fucking monopoly the shit out of the whole thing. You're like, I'm going to own 1% of everyone's house, and I'm going to tax that just the right amount, and then we're going to put that towards not having our whole kingdom completely eviscerate itself. And also, I can be a nice guy about it, and it's just good, and it's just great, and we're cooking, and it was such a fun thing. I love that system. It's the best economy system in the whole of any game I've ever played. It's not even close. Is the Fable. It's simple. It's like Fallout lockpicking. It's just tried. It's tested. It's good. It's amazing. It just does the job. It slows you down just enough, but it has a skill ceiling so you can just nuke a lock in a second if you know what you're doing. It is clean. I love that. But yeah, the point is, what I was getting at a little bit was this: that the Fable needs to. I hope in the sequel, if there is a reward, I hope that there is some reward associated with you being good. Fable had one choice. In the entirety of Fable 3 that I ever chose evil. And it was why it always bothered me, because I could never get the completely good run of Fable 3. And that was the first choice you ever make. The first choice you ever make in Fable 3. Oh, I love Fable 3. I love Fable so much. It just makes me so happy. I just even thinking about the moment, it was fun. In Fable 3, there was a choice you could make at the very beginning where the love of your life, the person that was been there for your whole life, they did such a good job of making this heroine character, female heroine, so sweet and so fun, and just clearly loved you and knew you back to front. It was so good. And eventually there's these protesters talking about how you're your brother who's the king of the kingdom, you're the prince, that he's he's a piece of shit, he's doing all this terrible stuff, and his brother basically comes out and says, okay, you have a choice. You either kill your childhood friend, the person that loves you to bits, or you kill all the protesters that you want to survive, you want to save. So it gives you that choice. And every choice I was just fuck these protesters, man. I'm sorry, when it's like that, it was the only negative choice I ever made in the entire game. I never got the achievement for being purely good. But what do you call it? It also is a little fucked up. Because when you make that good choice, it gets kind of weird. Because when you make that, I'm trying to think of exactly what it was. Yeah. So you can what was a really cool choice is when you get later into the game, you finally come back to Bowerstone. You meet your wife, and she's engaged to this fucking guy who's running an orphanage. and it's a little weird because you're kind of like, well, well, okay. I feel like a little got cucked a little bit, but anyways, and it all works out. But yes, it was one of those things where I was like, ugh, ew, yuck. And also, it's kind of shitty because like she'll be like, I love you so much, and they still do such a good job at making her character like very it clearly knows the main character so well. But it also is so frustrating at the it's so frustrating because why was it frustrating again? Oh right, she'll like mention shit like I still have nightmares about all the protesters being getting their head cut off and me having to listen to it while I was in the prison cells or something horrible like that. And you're like, Jesus, I just wanted you to live. Yeah, it makes me feel so shit for it, But anyways, it's just like one little bit of like, oh, it's cool. Like they coded in that option for you to hear that dialogue. Since I was enjoying, Fluff says, I mean, I got the best ending than having the funds to do fork because I simply allowed my property tax build up over the course of a few days. Yeah, real day. Yeah, exactly. That was always the thing that people did. Fluff says, since I was in the rush to get to the ending, the irony is the achievement implied I made horrible decisions just to achieve that. Yeah, weird. Yeah, they should know that you didn't do that. I also think Fable was never good about doing like the actual like 50-50. So even like you basically had to be completely good and make no bad choice for you to get the best good ending. And even if you made like one choice that could have been bad, but then you saved like 1 million like people, or like you did like 1,000 other good instances, the game wouldn't count it. The game would basically be like, yeah, but you did that one bad thing, and you're like, fuck you, dude. I like made up for the negative thing 100-fold. Yeah, Fluff said, yeah, if I could have remained, renamed the achievement, it would have been something like patience. Patience prevails. Yeah. Which is funny because a lot of people didn't actually like patience it. I just remember there being so many guys and people were like, just leave your console on overnight, and you didn't have to go any more than that because all you really needed was like an investment injection of like 500,000, and you'd be basically set to buy up like all the other things that would basically net you like 100K every hour. So if you do 2 quests, you're fucking rolling in money. And it was so awesome. Again, it was such a fun thing that they added to the game, which made you just feel like such a baller. And I think Saints Row had a very similar vibe, where like eventually, if you just knew how like let's just invest a little, instead of buying all this other shit, let me just like put money into the things that make me money back. And over time, it just like snowballed, and you just became like a fucking freak, like $3 million, and like infinite money coming in, and you're just like, feels good to be the king. Feels good to be. It's so good. Such a anime protagonist, fucking god king moment. Boldy says, I have around 190 pulls saved for Chang-Li. I could consider pulling her weapon once she's out. Boldy, be humble, buddy. Be humble. Fate has a way of slapping us like that. You know what I mean? But I hope so. There it is. I will say, it does look so beautiful. Like, if they do talk about how there's a karma system, if they do talk about how there's an evolution system, if they do talk about how we can customize our character, or even just having like change our hairstyles, change our like outfits, stuff like that, I am locked in because it does look beautiful. Like Playground Games says, knocked out of the park as far as visuals go. Now, is the gameplay good? I don't know. Very much feel like it's going to be a God of War type of combat, which leaves me worried for like if they can really cover all the bases of like swordsman, all that stuff. BRB, gotcha, Boldy. I can't believe you never played Fable alone. I so badly want you to go back and play it. Not even, maybe it's tough. A lot of people love to bits Fable Anniversary, and I get it. Fable Anniversary, they're like the first Fable, is very, very special, all right? But to me, Fable 1 was always a game that was basically like, if you really loved Sims, because like Fable 1 didn't have as much, it wasn't as grounded. It was almost like it wanted you to just like, it was almost like a sandbox. Like I felt like it wanted you to run around and play around, and it doesn't also describe anything, which is why I think a lot of people love it, is because it kind of leaned itself towards community, and like if you did this, and then you did that, then this detonated that, and then you could go and interact in this way. So a lot of fun stuff there. But to me, Fable 2 was just the right amount of like, it pulled back on that like kind of everything is a sandbox and you can kind of just fuck around in it. But Fable 2, man, to me will always be the game. I think maybe it's a story. If I really think about it, I think the Fable 2 story to me was just like my favorite story I think ever as far as in games go. The Fable 2 story, I love the little sparrow thing. I love the sister moment. I love the characters to death. Like I love like each zone being so vastly different. Like the monk area. And every character being such a fun character. I can't describe how much like I adore Fable 2 for like entirely different reasons. Bologna says, the choice. That choice kind of reminds me of a similar choice in the Infamous games. Ooh, which one? Which one? I'm curious. Infamous was another one of those games that to me I adored. I thought it was so fun. I think Infamous did a really good job. It's funny because I think Infamous kind of stole a lot from Fable, in the sense that like Fable had this thing where like when you're walking around the city, they would applaud you, and that was by far one of the coolest things I've ever seen. In Infamous is when you're like walking around the city and you feel like a horde of people start running away from you in terror, or they're just like, "Woo, let's go! Can I have your autograph?" They're taking selfies with you and shit. I don't want to be this guy because I always find it's rough when I go down this rabbit hole and I just start to get dark and evil. But when you think about Infamous 1, okay? I think about Infamous 2, okay? I think about Fable. I think about Fable 2. All right, now Fable 3 maybe less, but still, I think we've receded in games. Like Fable. Think about how technologically baffling Infamous was. Infamous 1. Where like you could like revive people constantly. You had like these massive explosions like tore up the world and like blew up cars and flew them around. You could climb on anything. You could like traverse and like descend very, very quickly and have everything load in still. And like the beautiful electric particle effects were crazy. Again, I think we receded as far as like games with some sort of complex design scheme seemingly has receded. The games that look pretty has definitely increased. Prettiness has shot through the roof, but like those types of games that had such complexity to them is insane. Also, what's good, Rasta? Also, before I lose this comment, Love says, it's interesting that the devs intended for evil ending of Infamous to be canon only for the majority of people. But good, it's because they did such a good job of making you the evil action so fucking evil. Where like people would run from you in terror. You're also like Cole McGrath looked terrifying. He's got black veins on the side of his face and shit. Looks like he's about to be like a corpse. You're like, Jesus, Jesus Christ. Alone says, nice build. Yeah, I'm thinking about going for the weapon as well. Is there sufficient leaks to know about both of those characters back to front? Because I feel like I'm gonna have to go down the rabbit hole with the waves and look at them leaks. Fluff says, I mean, Fable was an Xbox exclusive, so I'm not surprised Lone hasn't had the opportunity to play it yet. That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah. I forgot they were exclusive to Xbox. Goddamn Microsoft doing the bullshit, not making sequels. Stitch says, Frost, the post-planetary master. What? I played Starfield like 4 times and then said, this is enough. Actually, I'm still waiting for Starfield to have some sick-ass mods. Although it'd be really interesting because Starfield's in this weird, like, contentious place with a lot of people where they don't actually seem like to really into it. And I wonder if mods will bring it back. I hope it does. I do feel like there's a lot of value there as far as people being like, I don't like Starfield, but I like the engine. And the mods could be crazy with it, you know? Fluff says, Fable 2 was the definition of, was definitely the Empire or Godfather 2 equivalent for its quality as the second part of the yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, especially without the Fable remake, remaster. Lone says, if it was an Xbox exclusive, then yeah, I didn't have an Xbox around the time those games came out. That was like peak Xbox thing. Although if Fable had Xbox, Infamous had PlayStation, so I guess you did experience a good bit of it. Rasta says, hey Grim, we need new games because looking at what we have now, look what we have now. I was about to say, man, again, when I think about games like Fable, I don't think I'm looking back with rose-colored glasses because I just think about the systems. I'm not thinking about like what they look like. But like I don't know, there's not that many games that to me have again I always mention, but like depth of gameplay. The only game that I've played recently that seemingly has a lot of that is Power World comes to mind. I thought was like, oh wow, this is the game that I haven't seen in a while that has like a ton of systems stacked on top of each other like games used to be. You can fly anywhere. It to me, it always ran fine. You know, I'm trying to think of another game that has like those level of that level of systems. You know, like I wouldn't as much as I love Hi-Fi Rush, I wouldn't consider that to be the same thing. I'm talking about like an RPG open world game that just like layered 5 different things on top of that. Like, oh yeah, you can fly. Oh yeah, you can swing. Oh yeah, you can like. There's like crazy particle effects when you activate any ability. Oh right, there's literally shit scattered around everywhere, and there's a reason to collect it. There's like these side quests where you can like bring people back to life by like just shock paddling them, things like that. You know. Oh, by the way, there's a whole main story that's completely different than all that. You're like, what? Love says, restriction fuels creativity. The application to most form of media, this applies to most forms of media, and it's because it became a problem with the open world games since they aren't challenging themselves by providing unique and satisfying activities to fill in the role. Yeah. Well, I don't mean to constantly shun Ubisoft. Also, actually, let me do that. I haven't seen that actually. I was wondering what we were looking at today, but that makes sense. Shit, that's the one state of play that we haven't seen, or that I haven't seen. Ubisoft state of play. I'll just say Ubisoft Direct. Hopefully, that's what comes up. This was the one thing I had not seen. I don't know if it's worth it. Why is it 2 hours long? Oh, it's not. It's just because this stream is insane. Ubisoft, why are we doing the concert thing, Ubisoft? Who told you this was a good idea? Let's start with a fucking concert. Which is only there for like the 20% of people who are in the fucking observatory. Stupid. Anyways, but yeah, Ubisoft I think contributed to that, to where like Ubisoft was never a company that really did a good job about like pushing the envelope. It was always like they tried 2 things and then they kept one of them, and then they always did that. And I never feel like they got significantly like, oh, let's do an Assassin's Creed again. Let's come up with an entirely different system about stealth, about climbing, about all these things stacked on top of each other that we never did before. You know? Alpha says, Lone says, yes, they're both characters are main DPSs and have heavy focus on their skills. How so, Lone? What do you mean by skills? Like, well, good that they're DPSs. Oh, I see. I know what you mean. Okay, yeah. I keep thinking you guys are talking about the other girl that we've seen, the one who has like the changing hair color, who's like a yandere vibe. She's like, I'll stalk you. We should just say stalker. That makes more sense. You'll know what I'm talking about. I thought she's coming out. I hope she comes out soon. I just really hope there's not like, it's not like Scar and then her, because I'll be just like mortified. Fluff says, having restrictions helps inspire fun ways to solve a problem. Having no boundaries unless results in an ocean-wide, puddle-deep event. Yeah, it's a good point, too. Yeah, I agree, I guess. I'm trying to think, like, the puddle-deep thing is where I started to get, like, a little bit, like, maybe, but I feel like the puddle-deep thing is tricky sometimes because when I think about a lot of games, I guess that is true. As far as like, there's so much, like, there's this giant map, but you have no want to explore any of it. You know what I mean? Well, if you think back about like the Infamous City, the reason why it felt so big is because there was stuff that was scattered around in it that made you explore all of it, which actually had a value to you doing it. But it wasn't like game breaking either. It wasn't like you had to get all those shards in Infamous to become God. It was like, no, it just makes your life a lot easier, and whenever you see it, you're like, oh, this is helpful. I'll get it when I'm on my way. And you end up getting a lot of them that way. It also gives you a reason to kind of go a different route opposed to just the normal route, you know? Lone says, question, are the Fable games on Steam? They are. Fable 1 is on Steam. I think Fable 1 is under the term of Fable Anniversary, which is what it's called, but it's basically Fable 1. It's just it's a remaster almost. And then Fable 2, unfortunately, I think is on Xbox or on PC. You can play it on PC. But that one will look old, which is a little unfortunate. I think Fable Anniversary will actually look better than Fable 2, which is a little sad. But hey, I would love a full-on remake of Fable 2, dude. That'd be the best. I'd be so happy. I can't even describe it. I'd be so happy. Which is funny because I always never really got the remake thing. But when I put it in my wheelhouse, I'm like, okay, I get the remake hype now. Because if so, I could play on my laptop. Yeah, absolutely, they'll get it. Yeah, also they're older games, so you should be able to run without a hitch. Lone says because if they could try playing their own. Yeah, no, absolutely. Fluff says Ubisoft made small innovations with the franchise only to then cannibalize and put them into the other series. Yeah. Which, I don't want to default Ubisoft for doing something that I don't think is a terrible idea, which is basically like adjustment and growth based on what works. The issue, I think, with everyone with Ubisoft is that it's so blatantly uninspired, basically. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's a new game. It feels like it's the same copy of a game again and again and again. Whether the function is that way, the result, I think, for a lot of people is that it feels hollow, you know? As much as I love the Assassin's Creed franchise, mainline titles specifically, I definitely see just how much of a problem that Ubisoft open world have become. Odyssey and Valhalla. Yeah, again, I used to be like one of those people that was defending it a little bit because I actually really enjoyed around Far Cry 3. I was actually really enjoyed this format of like running around and there being stuff to do. But then. Like, I didn't realize that the cost of that, and again, it just drives me nuts. Whenever I see games nowadays, like, and it shouldn't be this way, but like, it's become like a smoke signal almost for me. Whenever I see there's a game with like really good graphics, it just makes me like start seething because it usually means that, like, again, it's constantly reinforced with games like Power World, where like it's a game that doesn't look like it has the most end game graphics you've ever seen. I love the graphics of Power, but still. Sure as shit, it looks like a normal kind of a nice looking game, but it has such deep systems because they're actually like, let's put money into that rather than this stupid shit that doesn't matter. That, like, again, it just drives me nuts. I just want to like strangle someone when people are like, who the absolute fuck cares this much about being able to see into somebody's pores? Like, it doesn't matter. And even somebody who does, go play like a game like Heavy Rain then, where the whole point is for it to be pretty. Or cursed in a lot of ways too. I don't know. The more I see like Jedi survive like this game, I'm like, oh, it looks really neat. And I look at the main character, I'm like, it looks expensive. The entire design of the main character and the art and everything looks expensive. And then I see the gameplay, and I'm like, okay, it looks like The Last of Us, which is to me, The Last of Us is the antithesis of this kind of problem, which is like, oh, let's just pump as much money into like the story, into this one linear thing, and then the gameplay. The gameplay's pretty good, but it's stuff that, like, yeah, the gameplay's good. I don't know. To me, it's not as deep as I would have loved it to be, I guess, if that makes any sense. What's clever? Lone says, so they both the characters, Jianxi and Changli, yes, so like Fire Girl, I think, and Fire Fangirl, and then Dragon Girl, who's the city mayor. Skill have different level, explains Jianxi, Dragon Lady. When you use her fourth basic attack, I think her skill changes. Oh. Not her ultimate, her skill. Yeah, no, I know. Okay. Interesting. Weird, also. I don't hate that. But also, I guess it's kind of the difficulty of sometimes you're like not going to be fighting a boss that lets you get off your fourth impact. Fluff says, weird. Fable 3 was delisted from Steam and never returned. Why? Fable 3 is awesome. I still think Fable 3 is a really nice game, especially looking back on it. We're in such a shitty state of games right now, as far as like, yeah. Rasa says, I liked only Far Cry Primal, the whole prehistoric stuff. Yeah, Far Cry Primal was awesome. That was when Ubisoft was doing too much. When Ubisoft was like, how about we just hire voice actors to go like blah blah blah, ukataka, and all this shit, and you're like, you're paying them the same amount to say nonsense, and I have to read subtitles. What are you on, man? I love the like summoning beast thing. I love like the arrows being so prominent. You could like fucking pull down like 4 arrows and like nuke somebody. It was great. But them being like, it's the worst example of like art house shit where like, stop, just like, listen. I get it. All right. I'm not going to tell you not to paint, and then you end up purging a whole civilization or something. All right, but I need you to just be a little realistic. Okay? Can we please dub people who speak a language of any kind? Hopefully, that's not made up. So the only option we've got is Fable Anniversary, which is still great. Yeah, it's true. Fable 3. Oh, damn it. Really? There's no Fable 2? I thought I seen up there this Fable 3. You can get emulators, but I don't know if I want to push long down that road. But you can definitely play Fable 3 on your PC. I've seen that. So the only option you've got from Anniversary, which is still great. I wonder if they're planning on doing like a. That's really weird. I don't know why they would take them off the thing. Maybe it's they realize that they're such good games and they make it like, oh wow, we've receded. Or maybe they're planning on doing like an anniversary edition thing, which makes more sense. Because that was one of the things that surprised me, which it gives me some hope. But I remember hearing in a thing where like Phil Spencer talked about how much he loves Fable. It was one of the first games he ever worked on when he was in Xbox as like a person in the company. And that both makes me like, it made me excited, but also made me worried. Because I wonder if somebody who's seen Fable and published it and liked it like that, if they would almost have a reverence for the name outside of what the game actually did. You know what I mean? So like the reverence could be associated with the fact that, oh, this was a game that was like a cutting edge Xbox game. Let's look at what every game is doing really well. Okay, it's God of War. Let's make the Fable gameplay a lot more God of War like. Okay, Detroit Become Human and all these games which have like these kind of like choices. Let's do that. Let's make the choices more morally gray. Let's take out the karma system. And it just becomes like that's why I'm like waiting to see certain things with Fable. Is I want to see. And I might actually like do a deep dive on this. I'm actually like hunt for like articles where because I thought I read an article a long time ago that said like no, the devs have confirmed that all of the things that you want in Fable are still in Fable, like karma and stuff like that. But I don't know. That's what worries me a little bit about like, oh, the reverence could lead it down a path of being not Fable, but like keeping the Fable name essentially, and like keeping some of the things like Albion, which is again, I don't think, as much as I love Albion, I don't know if that's what people who love Fable recognize from Fable. I think people recognize the karma system, people recognize the evolution of your character, and like the choices in pursuit of being a hero essentially. Although I would be open to more gray options, so long as there's still like a good option and a bad option essentially. Like that was always where I thought Fable 3 would have been. Fable 3 would have been like, yeah, there's a good, there's a bad, and then there's like this amorphous version in the middle that is like the gray area, and that would be a different bar to fill up entirely, you know? That'd be like the realist perspective of that. And you'd have like horns, like maybe spinning around, what is it called? Fucking Halo, or something like that. And, okay, Lone says, also, I watched Chang Li, the Phoenix Girl, and she used like this flame throw knife. It looks so cool. And I watched it. Fluff sent me a video of the thing, I think. I think Lone, you sent me one, but I thought it was DMCA claimed. But it showed her like her attack pattern, and it seemed crazy. It was like there's like she throws around I love how like none of the characters who use heavy swords are actually like using heavy swords. It just makes sense because they're not like jacked or anything like that. But they're like basically just using like their mana or something like that to swing this steel thing around. And a lot of times it doesn't even look like the sword. It just looks like a fire giant sweep, you know? Also, how's your day going, Clever? Fluff says, probably was delisted because back when many publishers were pulling out of Steam and trying to push their own launcher and stuff. Oh, okay, maybe it's on Xbox then. Xbox Microsoft Store. Lone says, Genshi Dragon Lady weapon is a crit rate, and the passive grants damage boost and provides stacks when doing basic attacks, and those stack boost skill damage. Damn. That sounds real good. That sounds really, really good. I haven't even drank my coffee today. That's tough. It's tough, man. The weapon, the weapon situation, I feel like it's funny because in like Genshin it was so simple. In Genshin where like nothing, like there was one thing that was viable and there's one thing that was clearly not. I should say viable, it's the wrong word. One thing was much more efficient than the other thing. Whereas in this game, it's more like, I mean, I can get like a 5-star weapon from the standard banner, which gives me crit rate and all that stuff. And then the other one, you know, damn you kind of thing. And it's kind of like, oh, there's a lot of weapons or other options now. Gives attack. Wait, the Phoenix Lady. Her weapon gives a attack percent. What? Oh no! The Phoenix Lady's weapon gives attack percent, and the passive increases critical rate when you deal damage, gain stacks, and each stack boosts skill damage. That better be a lot of crit rate. Is that good? It has to be a sufficient amount of crit rate, or else, like, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm a little peeved. I'm a little lost. Huh. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I like that. I'm like, do I go for what's her name's and then go for hers? I guess that would also work for our one dude. I really think it's gonna be annoying, but I'm gonna be the person playing it real close to the chest as far as like my hand, because like I don't know. Again, I gotta see what comes after. I do think the Phoenix Girl is later. I hope that's what happens. I hope she's not first. But yeah, damn it. I don't think we've seen her in the story. The Phoenix Girl, right? Yeah. No, I played a lot of story. We haven't seen her yet, which is weird. Unless she is somewhere in there, I just haven't seen her. Also, I did like my first couple rounds of Spiral Abyss, whatever it is, something tower, the Adversity Tower, Tower Adversity, it looked okay. It was fine. I think like you can only take certain characters forward, so I just kind of just wanted to get enough just to get all the bells checked essentially. But it resets in like 9 days, and I was like, fuck. I'm leaving everything from the last minute and being like, damn it. Lone says, I will say for Changli, which is the Phoenix Girl, the standard 5-star sword also looks good because her passive increases attack when using a skill. So it kind of seems like the same weapon a little bit. Huh. But like different a little bit. It depends on, I bet like I think it's more of like a whale thing where like, when you max out, when you get like 5 copies of the crit scaling, it probably gives you like 60 crit or something stupid on her thing, probably. Well, it says you get a whopping 8 crit rate at base version of her weapon, GRINN. That's it? Like max stacks? Yeah, definitely sounds like a whaler's kind of hook, where it's like, hey, if you wanted to get 7 of these at base version, yeah, I could get up there, maybe like 28 crit. So just doing a couple attacks, getting them stacks up. Huh. Again, it's out of our wheelhouse because I cannot buy multiple copies of a weapon. I don't think. We're a one character, one weapon kind of person. All right. I'm also so happy that's not a thing within Waves, where like Genshin is continuing to do that weird thing where it's like you need 2 copies of a thing. Lone says no, GRINN. That's 8% is just flat amount. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. So it's not like a stacking thing. I misread. The passive increases critical rate and deals damage. Gotcha. When dealing damage. So, okay, so yeah. What's the stacking amount then? Or is that what you mean? Yeah, because you said the passive increases critical rate and when dealing damage, gain a stack. Okay, so maybe that's okay. So you at a base level you get 8% crit, and then you have this other thing which is scaling off of when you deal attack damage, you boost your skills damage. Gotcha. So the stacking mechanism is attached to the skill, and not to the crit rate raising. Gotcha. That makes some more sense. Got it. Still, I think okay. So that's not as bad. I'm a little worried. I hate when there's weapons like that seem like they have the potential to be extremely good if you stack like get 5 copies of them, but I also don't know because it makes me worried about like, is this character like nerfed because her weapon is so cracked? But I hope not. I hope that's not the case. Well, it says meaning when you equip the weapon to the character, they just have a crit rate. Gotcha. That doesn't sound great. That doesn't sound like a great weapon. I would yeah. No, I think we're gonna go ahead and skip that bit. Yeah. Outside of all that, ladies and gentlemen, outside of some games, outside of the Ubisoft Connect, I don't know if you guys are excited for Outlaws, Star Wars Outlaws. It looks fine. It looks like a video game. Sorry, I don't know. I feel kind of I'm not sure if I'm Star Wars out. Actually, that's not actually true. I've seen Star Wars. What is it called? That like Battlefront is what it's called. I've seen some gameplay with that a couple weeks ago, and I thought, wow, that game looks great. That game still looks pretty good. It just sucks that it was rife with so many microtransactions, but at least now it looks like it's a pretty decent game. Fluff says, I'm not excited for Outlaws, but I still am optimistic about AC Shadows. I've seen people talk about it, like Joe Raptor a little bit, and I still kind of feel a little weird about it, if that makes any sense. Yeah. How do I put this properly? Like, to me, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's, again, I remember back in the day when we were first talking about like a potential Assassin's Creed game that might very well be like the weeb journey that we all hoped, which is very ninja based, where we could fucking what do you call it, run around, and we'd have like the order. Like, again, it just made all the sense in the world. Like, the assassins are already basically ninjas, so why not make the ninja thing go so absolutely hard that it goes crazy. And I always had this like vision of it in my head that looked very specific, and it just didn't look like this. Does that make sense? It didn't look like we were like, it's basically like the Shadows look so much like it's trying to come for the novelty of Ghost of Tsushima, and not like the mysticism and the uniqueness that is the Assassin's Creed like order and shit like that. It seems like it's much like leaning much more into like being a period drama, whatever it's called. That's fine. It's not what I thought of when I thought of like you could have a field day with what this could mean for the like the order and the like lore. But honestly, I know so many people who have completely disconnected from the AC lore of like how cool it was back in the day with Desmond and like the Apples of Eden and all these things, where I think so many people have kind of been like, all right, I'm kind of sick of this, and maybe that's why, so they're kind of like doing that, kind of finding a way to stir things up again. It says, I would say with each stack you gain 4 skill damage, and you have 14 stacks? Okay, wow. Okay, wow. Never mind. That's insane. That could go. I was thinking they had to make up the difference somehow about your crit rate and stuff like that, but that definitely sounds like you're going to make up the difference. Jesus. That's only base copy. So imagine if you got like 4 copies. Shit. Fluff says, I'm not excited for Outlaws. Black Flag remake, remaster is still happening. And they're looking at doing more remakes / remasters of AC1 remake. That makes me mad. I'm sorry. I'm happy they're making the remakes. I'm unhappy that like AC1 is the thing that they're remaking. I get it. I don't know why. I feel like if you were actually able to count up all of the people that loved Assassin's Creed 1, like, I always remember Assassin's Creed 1 being beloved, but very, like, niche. And then Ezio's trilogy happened, and everyone was like, oh, I'm so much more on board with this. And I'm not saying that Altar Story is not awesome and important and all that stuff, and maybe that's, like, the perfect format for a remake, because it's like, yeah, actually, like, improved the system, because it felt very, like, dry and, like, bare bones. But I also feel like that's what people loved about it. So, I don't know. That's tough. It's one of those things where, why are you remaking the game that I don't know if it's what will pull people back into the franchise? You know, I don't know if that's the case, unless they really go hard and like remake it, almost like Final Fantasy, where they're like changing shit to make it more like weighty and adding like different systems and quest lines that make it feel like more fleshed out. It's tricky though, because I know a lot of people love the Altair story. I just don't know if we were to count how many people who would prefer that over the Ezio trilogy would have preferred that, you know. But perhaps no, I'm pretty confident about like the whole Altair story is popular. I just don't know if it's as popular as Ezio's. I'm hyped for Black Flag though. Black Flag I think is good. I do find it weird that Black Flag's getting it before Brotherhood or AC1. Or AC2, sorry. I feel like that's very strange, because Black Flag is like, you can go back and play Black Flag today and it still looks pretty good. Like, it's still like passable, especially if you have a PC. The water looks great. Fluff says, so I can figure we'll see Ezio Trilogy get a remake in the future. I hope. I just fear it's like an eon away, you know? And it's one of those things where, like, if I'm honest, every consecutive year I get a little, like, it's like Ezio, the Assassin's Creed franchise is not it's not similar to, like, Fable, where, like, Fable has only aged and made me desire it more. Assassin's Creed, like, as the years go on, the more I get, like, exhausted, because I still am seeing it, I guess that's what it is. Like, there's still an AC game every year, essentially, or every other year, or every 3 years. To where, like, it's still exhaustive a little bit. Like, it's not like a Fable where I feel like it's just ghosted, and I just have, like, these core memories that are, like, logged. What's another game? BioShock's another game like that. What's one other one I can't fucking think of right now, but it very much is that too. Oh, it always comes to mind on occasion. I can't remember it. But like games like that, they didn't overstay their welcome at all. And then there's games like Assassin's Creed that very much feel like they're just constantly in our face. So I don't have that like feeling of like, oh my god, I do like love Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and AC and stuff like that. But yeah. Fluff says, so I can figure we'll see Ezio's trilogy get a remake in the near future. Lone says, AC1 was a game. The fact that you have had to follow clues to find your target sucked. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. There's a lot of friction and stuff like that, which I feel like it's tough because I don't know, like, unlike making Souls, like the Dark Souls game, I feel like the feeling that people like from the first Souls game, from the remake, they're like similar. Whereas I feel like a lot of, like, if you're going to try to make an AC1 remake, I feel like they're not the same people who liked it. Like, I feel like you'll if by making the game more like open and like make more sense and like adding stuff to it, I feel like you'd make the other people upset who want the more like grounded. You have to like fuck around and like find a bunch of intel before you get someone and get to kill someone. If you get spotted once, you die on sight. You know. Fluff says Ezio Trilogy already has a remake though. Oh, it does? Oh, I didn't know that. Like Brotherhood or anything like that, or even the first Ezio 2? I mean a remaster maybe. I get this is where we get to like weird categories of like remaster, basically meaning like we just up-res some stuff. Just some. It still looks like dog shit, you know. I'm not talking about a remake. I know a remake is like a full-on reboot of the whole series almost, or like a redesigning of all of it. But there are definitely good examples of remake and bad examples. Remasters to me are just like, let's up the quality. And I feel like I remember seeing an Ezio Assassin's Creed 2 remaster, and I remember seeing it and being like, this still looks horribly hard to look at, you know? They did the Ezio trilogy remastered by AC, and now AC Black Flag is on the next horizon. Okay, yeah, I remember another thing about the remasters make me feel like it actually looks like a remastered version. It doesn't look that much better, I don't think, from the thing. Maybe I need to watch like an IGN Game Informer thing that like shows a side by side. Maybe that's where I'm like, okay, no, they've improved. I have a weird perception of it, but I remember I thought I did watch that one time, and I always remember being like, this does not look like it's that much of an improvement of what we've seen as far as qualities goes, you know? Which is why AC1 is potential getting a remake instead of a remaster. Gotcha. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, I see. That's what you're saying. Okay, I was under the maybe I said a remake when I should have said or remaster when I should have said remake. Also says as AC is 17 years old. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. That's one of those things where like, oh my god. I remember playing AC1 when I was like 10, maybe 13, maybe a little bit older. I know Fluff's probably like, fuck you. Yeah, I know. I know. So if I come after Black Flag, it could be done in the 20th anniversary. Yeah, that might be good then. Who is this man with the stash on my screen? I'm not referring to me. I have a beard. It's different. What if I start up the stream and just had a full-on stash and no beard? By the way, I don't think you guys realize, I trim up my beard a little bit just so it's less thick, like it's less hugely thick. Holy shit, boys. Every man in my family with those Portuguese genes can grow like a gnarly, thick, and like black, like the blackest mustache you've ever seen, the blackest facial hair you've ever seen. And it's just like brutal. Oh, the Ezio trilogy is a soft remaster, but was mostly just a re-release and upload. Yeah, okay, that's what it was. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. But bear, yeah, okay. I always remember being like, I remember people being pissed about it. We're like, what the fuck? You blew your load on this shit? He's a piece of shit. Remasters are mostly just improvements to the visual fidelity or releasing it into that new hardware. Yeah. But I feel like it was really old at the time. I think a remaster happened like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember being like that, people still being like, I want better, you know? Like it was still like an old game. Ooh. Officially, they call the Ezio trilogy as a remaster. Also, what's this? What is this? Is this a remaster? Or, sorry, a remake of Prince of Persia, the first one? That's kind of... I didn't hear anything about this. Or is this just, like, playing off of the success that they had from the side-scroller Prince of Persia, which apparently did really well. I thought that would be a dud for sure, but I know shows I know. Is this showing, like, a remaster of the Prince of Persia thing? Is it a side-scroller? Dude. You know what Yeah, Prince of Persia, Ubisoft original, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. Huh, seems like a remaster of Sands of Time. That's not bad. But you know what dude, you know what? I remember we were playing Dishonored. Deep cut, but I remember, no, For Honor. We were playing For Honor. For Honor, like the Melee Brawler kind of counter game. Yeah, I remember us playing that, and I remember we talked about Prince of Persia, and it was right around the time I think God of War was popping off again. And I was like, man, that'd be my ideal. That'd be my ideal, man. A mixture of Assassin's Creed, Brotherhood, around there, and the new God of War style of like over-the-shoulder, slower, more intimate cutscenes. And if we could have that, but Prince of Persia, honestly, if we could just have God of War treatment on the Prince of Persia series, I would be over the moon, dude. That'd be like my ideal Prince of Persia. I know a lot of people like the side-scroller stuff and like still want it to be like a third-person game or whatever, where you're jumping off stuff. But I don't know, man. To me, that'd be the best. A Prince of Persia game that was more like grounded, where you're actually like learning about the Persian culture and you're like kind of fucking around and then you're like dipping into some like almost pseudo fucking fantasy magic and all that stuff. Like that to me would be so good, and we just don't see a lot of that, unfortunately. I know a lot of people who say this game, this Avatar game, is just beautiful. And I don't know. It looks good. I don't mean to say that, but to me, it's just like it just looks like greenery, grass, and stuff. Like it looks pretty. I don't know. It doesn't look like there's something about like cartoon. Well, again, like the amount of times I'm walking around Withering Waves, where I'm just like, whoa, and it's just like the lighting hits like the grass, and it's like purple green, like spatial grass or some shit, and then you see like the water flowing, and you're like, holy fuck, is this game pretty? Like that to me is much more pretty than like what looks like high graphical fidelity vines and stuff, you know? Far Cry Pandora. Avatar Pandora. What? Frontier Pandora? Yeah, that's true. I see. Far Cry Pandora, yeah. Every time I see Avatar, it always makes me hate that we don't have a really, really well done Avatar, like actually Avatar the Last Airbender kind of a video game, because I feel like it would work so well in a video game kind of like setting. That's funny because we that Emperors of Avion or whatever that like magic FPS game was, that'd be like the perfect kind of shit for like the whole airbending thing, where it's basically just like let's make air magic a shotgun, let's make fire magic a nuke. I don't know, you know, I feel like they just fit. Fluff says, I've heard of a 3D side-scroller Prince of Persia is quite good, but I haven't, but didn't perform well. Yes. I'm sorry. Whenever I see that gameplay, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't like these types of games. I've heard that one is a scratch scroll. Fluff says, funny they used Maximus footage, as he probably only did a sponsored stream for it. Yeah. Yeah, that's brutal. Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited. I'm finally going to start editing our prep stream, which I'm happy that it worked out really well. I was always worried, like, that it wasn't going to pan out, like, as far as, like, I'm going to get in there, I might see something, but it actually worked out. I feel like the videos are, like, the footage looks good enough. I will say, guys, you're too, like, okay with shit. You're too, like, it's just water off my back. When I'm editing the video, the fucking gray bar, it's so annoyingly present. Like, I thought it wasn't that noticeable. It's noticeable, like, bad. It shows up vividly when you're shooting an enemy about to get like immersed. You're in, like seeing through my eyes and we're like taking out an enemy. And then you just see this fucking like gray bar that just shouldn't be there. So it's like, God damn it, guys! I wish you'd tell me that was that annoying to see visually. And now I'm sitting there in the edit like, that's annoying. Next stream I gotta find. I know how to do it. I know you can turn it off. I think I just gotta manually do it while I'm in the thing. Like go to my software and actually toggle on HUD on and off again because it doesn't do it. It doesn't remember it weirdly. But yes, I don't recall submission coverage of it. Okay, huh? Maximilians. I'm not sure who that is. I'm better with names, or sorry, better with better with visuals. I think I've heard his name before. What is this, Doug? I'm a little sad that Watch Dogs seemingly died. I really liked Watch Dogs 2. I didn't really like Watch Dogs 1 as much as I would have hoped. Oh no! Wait, is the dog gonna... Okay, no, something different entirely. What? What? This is just the best example of like stupid ass advertising ever. It's like, you know what? Hear me out, guys. There's this dog and he's running at this car. And then guess what? 30 seconds into the stream or into the trailer where people are almost certain this is a game about a dog, it cuts into car game. And I'm like, what the fuck is any of this connecting? It doesn't make me excited. It's just like, what? Is this the crew? Also, look at the balls on Ubisoft. Where they just shut down the crew game and they're like, yeah, by the way, we did that so that we could force you to buy another game. Because we realized no one would do that. Buy another game if we didn't. Lone says, I don't find it annoying, so I didn't say that. I know, Lone. I'm thankful for all of you guys. Because I fuck up so many times in the streams where I'm like, oh, that's broken. Let me give me a sec. Oh, it's broken. Let me give me a sec. But yeah, to me, it does say crew manifest. I'm not looking. Who's looking at the fucking watermark at the top of the screen? You're locked in by the dog. How dare you not give that dog the proper eye attention that it deserves? Definitely seems why most people haven't been talking about the Ubisoft showcase. It's a lot of here's stuff for existing games and nothing exciting. Also, it's just like to me it seemed very like it's the same shit of like, and this doesn't surprise me at all, where like this is what everyone expected the Xbox showcase to look like, which is a lot of bullshit, a lot of like, hey, here's like an orchestra playing. Here's a random guy. Let's make a trailer that doesn't tell you what the fuck this is at all. Maybe like some deep cut people would be like, oh, this is Civ or something, and all that. But like, yeah, to me, it's just like this is an example of all of the things that most people are like, I don't want this. I want to see a little snippet of like what the game is, maybe some cutscenes, sure, you sell me on it. And then I want to see you transition to gameplay as soon as possible. I don't need to hear a developer talk about the nuance of the project, as much as that's lovely. If I want that, I'll go into I want a deep dive that's like 30 minutes, where the dev is like, here's what we're doing, here's my thoughts on this, here's this mechanic. That's what we all want, I think. I think that's what we've wanted for like years. I don't even think I should say that's what I think we want, because I've seen every like bit of feedback for years after E3 after E3 after E3, and it's always been the same thing of like, I don't want this weird like fanfare Hollywoodification of like random shit that like this is what they want. It's like what data shows that people want what do you call it, an actor talking about like how cool, how fun it was to be a face in the game, you know? And meanwhile we can tell he's never played a video game in his life, you know? Like I think Xbox like nailed it, because to me it's the perfect formula of like, here's some fun gameplay, or here's some fun cutscenes and like the schmooze of the game. And then here's the actual gameplay. And then we're going to do a direct for not just one game, but like every game after the fact. Because there's like a direct on Avowed and all these games. Fox says, Maximilian dude, I've mentioned him before. He usually focuses on fighting games, right? Capcom and stuff, right? Final Fantasy and stuff like that. That's quite the barometer. It's quite the different thing, especially going from Final Fantasy to to fighting games. It does say the crew the crew even? What do you mean? What do you mean? Was that just an event for the crew, or was that an actual new game for the crew? I thought one of those games got shut down. I thought people were pretty bummed about it. I wasn't. I will say Ubisoft has done like a really good job with For Honor, where like that game, I feel like has like the most small but fervent and passionate community, and I think it's like the way Ubisoft sees For Honor is the way I think a lot of developers should see a lot of stuff like that, which is basically like, how much does it take for like to keep a team of like 4 people on this, and just like making a new character every couple months, and then just like injecting them, and then like having one of the other people work on cosmetics for the next 2 months, and then we just keep that cycle going. And it seems like it pays for the servers to be on and all that stuff, which, yeah, the crew to me, not the crew, sorry, the For Honor. For Honor is the one game that to me I think Ubisoft should be like given an applause for that, because there's been plenty of times where I'm like, they could probably cut the cord at this point, but the community's passionate enough to where they're like, well, we'll keep making skins. If you keep buying the skins, then we'll keep these 4 people on making you a character every 5 months. And yeah, and yeah. But I feel like even now, I still feel like we see every now and again updates for Honor. And it's funny because, like, again, For Honor was a pretty out there kind of game. Also, what's going on, Bolty? Welcome back. But For Honor was a pretty out there game, and it's annoying that Ubisoft sometimes doesn't. I don't know. Maybe that's not fair. Ubisoft does try things. I remember they tried like this roller derby one. I think that was them. They tried the crew and stuff like that. So they do try stuff. It's just they don't take like chances on their existing properties. Yeah, they try stuff. They try like this skating game. I just think the stuff that they try is oftentimes like, why? Why this? Hoverboards, dude. That's kind of sick. I do love how like, every live service game eventually just gets so barren for content. They're just like, magic, fantasy, hey, techno, skateboard. And you're like, what? Is this okay, that's a different thing. I was about to say, is this it looks like very similar to that one game that's like I can't think of it. What is it called? Not the crew. Rocket League. It looks very similar to Rocket League. Brawlhalla is a surprising one of the best Smash clones out there. Kudos to devs and good on Ubisoft for supporting them. Ooh. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so there we go. Brawlhalla. I remember everyone getting in on that. Even Let was trying to get in on that. Fluff says For Honor still has weekly updates. Yeah, yes, yeah, that's wild. That's wild. And it's cool they keep it going steadily too. Yeah, I know. That's one of those games where like that's every live service development team. I think it's like Wet Dream is like, oh, I can just keep working on the game I love for like a long time, and like if you're really into swordsmanship and like culture and history, holy fuck, I bet you're on cloud 9 by working on those projects, you know? Marketing for this game should be, do you have balls to win? Do you have the balls to win? Then females will be like, excuse me, and then I'm like, I said what I said. This is 2024, thank you very much. Rude. Anyways, Wody says Brawlhalla being F2P while being this good of a game was frequently updated and crossover, so it's noticeworthy. Yeah. That makes sense. I heard a lot. That makes sense why it succeeded so hard then, because it's not only just access. I feel like a lot of what makes a game successful is like, or makes anything successful, is somebody doing it for free for a long time. Not for free, but like trying to make it so that like they're focusing on getting as much people to dabble with it, play with it, and then they improve it with all that understanding and knowledge, and then they go forward with that. Also, I don't know if I'm not sure. I don't think we'll stream tomorrow. I think we'll take Sunday off, which is a rare occurrence. But we will be streaming on Monday. Fuck, is it Monday or Tuesday? Give me a sec. It is the 17th. That is a Monday. Okay, so Monday, this is coming out, so we'll stream then. Monday, we'll stream on the 17th. Because that is a big old update from one of the biggest and best games in all of VR, called Blade and Sorcery, where it's actually amazing. That new Blade and Sorcery update is going to give us like a whole campaign. It's like a big update. It's coming out of early access. So Blade and Sorcery is no longer in early access, and people are like frothing at the mouth because one of the biggest issues with modding, especially for a game like Blade and Sorcery, is it's constantly behind on its updates. And Blade and Sorcery was one of those games that like updated itself every like 4 months, and that sounds good, but it's not ideal because the modding community will go like buck wild and they'll make like the most beautiful levels you've ever seen, find all these like back end doors to like make it happen, only for then the update to hit and then the mod to be like broken essentially. And you have to keep updating your mod over and over and over again, and people are like, yeah man, it's exhausting, like I can't keep doing this, like especially like if you have like 17 mods or something that you made for the community, fuck, you know. But with this being the final update-ish, and they're gonna start to move on to like their next big game, people are like, oh my god, fine, like it's gonna take probably like 4 months or like 5 months, but holy shit. And also the update looks massive. Like I do think they're gonna like have people in good graces, be in people's good graces for a while, and I'm super excited. But yes, that's what happened on Monday, so we'll play that, have some fun with that. That actually probably will be a video for my pal Samantha channel as far as just B-roll while we're talking about all the new updates and what this means for the future of Blade and Sorcery. As far as the design updates, marketing stuff like that, Flapolti says Brawlhalla been F2P while being this good of a game with the frequency of updates and crossover rate is as I know where they were. Oh, that was Bolty who said that. I said Fluff said in the chat. Fluff says plus they let you pay once to unlock all characters and future characters. Well, that's nice. That's crazy, actually. Wow. Sort of like Smite, or that's very consumer free. Yeah, again, that's a huge win. Yeah, I think that's a lot of like things nowadays, especially like that was one of the things I'm so happy that I can't describe how like to me it's so frustrating nowadays to see so many things that like there's a way I think to do something the right way. Maybe that's selfish to say the right way, but like there's a way to do this properly and that people would be receptive to, and then so often people do it the worst way imaginable and are shocked that the result is one of the worst results that you can possibly get. And that was why to me, like when we seen Withering Waves finally, like again, it always baffled me in my head where it's like, would it seriously be such a bad thing if a company was just a little bit more generous with like Primo Gems? Like if you're making billions and billions of dollars from select few customers, is it crazy that like if you were generous with you're like, I never thought I'd buy another gacha games anything after I spent like $60 in Withering Waves and then barely got one character, and I thought this is ridiculous. I could buy a whole fucking game with this. But with how generous they've been in the last couple little bit, I'm like, oh, actually wouldn't mind actually supporting these people in this way. And to me, I don't know. It's just one of those things where, like, I think nowadays, I hope that we see more of that. More of the like, there is a way to do this the right way. There is a version of the live service games to do the right way. I do think that like live service right now, just in the overall gaming space, is so fatigued by so many people that it is just a bad idea to like list your game doing that. It's far better just to say, this is our full game. We love it to bits. If people really adore it, then we might consider live service, like adding updates. But until then, we'll just leave it. Like I remember that was what Borderlands 2 did, or 3. Sorry, Borderlands 3 did, where basically it was like, yeah, we're just gonna like play. We're gonna maybe support it after the game with updates. If you look back at like Borderlands 2, it was a live service game, 100%. It had like updates constantly, had new legendaries, new events going on constantly. It was like updated for like 2 years, with skins and all that stuff too. So yeah, and then it also had DLC, but it never said that it was like, we're a live service game, or like we're a constantly updates every week, despite you've never played the base game at all. You know, it didn't do that. But yeah, outside of that, what was the last thing I was gonna say? Okay, so yeah, next week, by the way, there's the last thing we'll kind of end on probably. Let me drink some game and stuff before I gas out completely. Although it does feel weird not streaming for like much longer now. I will say we've kind of made it like that whole like swing with Destiny and Withering Waves, and us having to kind of juggle both of those. It feels very strange not to stream for like grotesque amounts of time. Look at that naked kid, disgusting. I'm kidding. But this is cool. Haven't actually seen the gameplay of this game yet. Look at thighs. Sorry. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Okay, so I do think we will do another prep stream on probably Thursday. But Thursday will most likely. Oh yeah, well, send me those VTuber things, Lone. That'll be fun to end the stream talking about those. But I will say, I think on Thursday we'll do a prep stream for Withering Waves. What does that look like? It probably looks like something like the VR stream that we did, where I have like things that I want us to focus on and do, which I think is good. I think I need to do a better job of like telling you guys like we're now doing this. Whereas I tried to make it a surprise. I feel like you guys are like, what's happening? A lot of the time for the My Pal Spanish, or not My Pal Spanish, the VR stream. Whereas I think I'll talk to you guys about like, okay, we're gonna move into this part of the discussion of insert thing, and I don't know what that'll be. I'm probably gonna have to balance out some stuff. I think I want to dabble in the next stream, prep stream for Withering Waves to see like maybe we'll touch some leaks, but I don't know if we want to go whole hog into leaks yet. And then I'll do the same thing about editing those videos down and uploading them to this channel and things like that. But yes. Ooh, there's Lone. I think just Discord messaged me. Brody says, I heard from some other gacha game YouTubers that being too generous can be bad for the game, like Withering Waves. I don't think that it should matter, since whales are always gonna whale, even if the devs are generous or not. I think those people deserve to be just smashed so deeply in the throat that they could never swallow normally again. Anyways, just kidding. That was a joke, Twitch. That's the shittiest take I've ever heard in my life. It's almost like the idea that like there's always, it's not that hard to incentivize gluttony. It's not that hard to incentivize the idea that you could overspend or get much, much more out of doing that. Generosity in a gacha game isn't really generosity. In a lot of ways. Generosity in a gacha game is basically being able to access gameplay so that you can experience something. The feeling that a whale gets from having like maxed out a character and being like God, and then having like going into co-op and then like nuking a boss in front of like a Fable free to play, nothing like it's just a psychotic take to me that like, oh no, it's always, again, it feels very similar to the take of like in Destiny. The idea that like raid gear should be like exclusive to only people who can get a friend group together and all these things, despite most people not having the opportunity to do that kind of stuff. It's just like I don't think that's what was required for the incentive structure to be enough to warrant people doing the activity or to warrant people doing this thing or buying and supporting the game. I think when you actually support the free-to-play people, it incites them to want to spend. Because, yeah, I can't see a world where the whales wouldn't still want to whale. You know? Like, wouldn't still want to... Because, like, it's not like a free-to-play... It's not like they're so generous where we're able to 5-star a weapon or we're able to 5-star a character. It's just generous enough to be able to play and access characters and create builds and teams from them. So you get a shit ton of the gameplay chunk, but not any of the scaling, which is what a lot of people I think deeply, a lot of the whales I think deeply like, is that like the scaling fact that like they one-shot a boss within 2 rotations, and that they're like, haha, I'm a god, and more power to them, you know. Lone says, Grin, I still have the VT. Yeah. Fluff says, I mean, the latest compensation was a 10 banner standard pull, so it's not that generous when we all can spend it on now is the standard banner characters or weapons. No, I know. I just think outside of all of that stuff, like I think that it's just like Mihoyo had moments of generosity, but it was never to the extent to which it's this generous, where you feel like you're genuinely able to like make it work. It's almost like Mihoyo always felt like they did the exact math of like how much do we need to give them so that they still would have to spend to be able to guarantee get them in this thing, you know? And Withering Waves doesn't feel like that. Withering Waves is like, we fucked up. What's a fair price to say that we're like sorry? And yeah, that's always been what it feels like, which feels pretty good, at least to me. But also, I think it's also because we came from such a fucking like very broken, shitty thing. Because even outside of like I'm talking about like the events, things for you to do, being able to test out characters and all these things, being able to get access to weapons, being able to get like a free 5-star weapon, a free 5-star base character, and then another free 5-star on top of that, and then like another handful of wishes, and the guarantee 5-star that you want when you want to start the game. Like, I don't know if there's an argument for it being like it not being generous. Now, the issue is what happens 2 months from now when the game is stabilized and all that stuff. Are they just going to be like, okay, now that we've hooked people because we've fainted basically being generous consistently, now we could be as like grotesquely greedy as possible because you're hooked? That might be a thing too. So maybe I'll go back in the mist and be like, yeah, it was all ruse, but who knows? Uh, and the only weapon banner has any guarantee compared to the character banner. It's random after novice banners slash choices. I can see how I can encourage greed explanation from players, but I don't think they're being overly generous. I think they're being overly generous. I think so, for sure. Like besides the one reward that we got, it's considering all of the other rewards that we would never get in a normal gacha game. Like the fact that you're able to get like guaranteed characters, the fact that you're able to get a free 5-star when you reach a certain weapon threshold or a union rank threshold. Yeah, I don't think there's an. I can't imagine how they're not generous if you compare it to every other gacha game. Yeah, maybe people have more experience with gacha games. And they're like, yeah, give me any game that has given this much stuff. As far as like you being able to select the character that you want, being able to easily get them within a day of just playing and grinding some like surface level gems, so on and so forth. You know. Also, I'll look at the messages, other things in a minute. Loan. The combat for Shadow is still looks good. I feel like they took a mix of inspiration from Ghost of Tsushima and more so from For Honor devs to help. Yeah, I haven't really been checking. I've been looking at the chat too much. But yeah, it looks neat. It looks pretty. Yeah, it looks like it does not have that AC feel. The fact that she just fucking maps like 8 feet onto an enemy, very ninja. Essentially, and not mad superhuman abilities. But it looks good. It looks snappy. I don't know. I gotta see yet. I gotta see some more of it. I haven't really sat down and looked at the gameplay yet. But the movement and all that stuff looks good. I do wish they'd get rid of the weird assassination like health bars looking super grotesque now, just so fucking in your face. But yeah, she looks snappy at least, which I think is the point because she's like fucking probably weighs 100 pounds essentially. Multiple weapons and stances just for the Yakuza is very cool. Very cool. Ooh, I didn't know that. That's neat. I did see him being able to like run through walls ish, but they're like paper walls, so it's like okay. It's a lot of good front loading, sure, but it's more like what Genshin should have been after 4 years. They provide far too little to reward new long-term players, while HSR is also the polar opposite. Yeah, I guess to me, I'm comparing it to other gacha games outside of Genshin, but maybe I haven't played enough gacha games to see it. But I do follow a couple channels that say it's a little abnormal even in general. Genshin conditioned its players to expect table scraps and be happy about it. Yeah, even if you look at other games, like I know I remember people saying that like, like it was like 3 years in to one of MiHoYo's other games, and they're like, yeah, you can actually like there's like a 5-star character selector essentially. It's one of like the like you've been playing the game for like 3 years and supporting us. Here's a free character, which was neat. But I've never seen that times 2 times a free weapon times what do you call it? Like a bunch like 4 really strong new 4-star characters. Times at like 3 other events coming out at the same time within the same opening week that all can provide you with the primo gems and good loot. So they're not giving us like here's some flowers because this is the beginning of the game and that's what you kind of need. So like even if you compare it to other gacha games outside of Genshin, I still think Withering Waves is above average as far as its generosity. Maybe generosity is the wrong word, and it delivering things that cost money. Outside of stuff like that, outside of like just gameplay, which I think gameplay is a good argument for. Like it came out swinging with like the story being good and tons of it too, and also having a ton of side quests and also having like events right at the hop and so on and so forth. You know. Fluff says Honkai Star Rail is far more rewarding to its players, and it's also from Hoyover's. Oh really? Oh wow. Okay, never mind. I thought a Honkai Star Rail was not that as generous as Withering Waves. Interesting. Are you saying no? Honkai Star Rail is more generous than Genshin? Because that's not a fair argument. Then I think you got to judge it against every other gacha game. Because like you said, I agree with the statement of Genshin condition its players to be happy with nothing. Did she just slice all of those trees? Okay. What? Or did I missee something? That is some Japanese ninjutsu shit. Okay. All right, let's look at these VTubers Lone has seen. Lone, our boy, has almost lost himself. down the VTuber rabbit hole, and he has sent us his flock. Okay, his oh, I fucking hit. God damn it! God damn it! I hit Adventure Resolve. It's the editing software. It's gonna boot up now. That's gonna slow down everything if I don't kill it immediately. Go away. Okay. All right. There it is. 7 images. Oh my golly. All right. Jesus Christ. All right. Before people get mad at me, this is Lone's characters. Can you see it? Is it good enough? Is it not big enough? I can't zoom in properly, I don't think. No. Maybe Fluff can tell me how to zoom in. I know I have to go into like the actual, I have to go into the actual thing to zoom in, never mind. But this, okay, so for those guys who don't know, Lone's got into the YouTube rabbit hole, VTuber rabbit hole, and he has found a collective group essentially of VTubers who were inspired by Greek gods, and they're part of like a little sect. So this is I imagine Poseidon. So they're basically think of all the Greek gods, but now they're women, gender-bended women, boom. And yes, this is Poseidon. I apologize. There's just there just happens to be Poseidon. My God, let me tell you. You got all that whale fat going somewhere, I guess. I don't know what to tell you, but Jesus. Jesus Christ. I love how VTubers are just like, you know what? What if we just send it? It's almost like the idea of like, no one's going to know my fucking face. Let's just send it. Good for them. I think it's great. But god damn. It just swings for the rafters. I will say, I like the hair. It looks cute. Hair with it being transparent is a nice add. I wonder if she gets cute with it and puts it in like a weird little bun or something neat. And it looks more colorful. But yes, the water looks like it has a very deep arc. As all I'm saying. Anyways, also, Bodhi says, yes, please. Bodhi, stop. Stop, Bodhi. Makes us feel we deserve such generosity from Kuro, from Wither Waves. We haven't seen them handle ZZ yet, so I'm only comparing Hoiver's own products to Genshin and Genshin to Withering Waves, the most directly competitor to open world gacha. Poseidon has waterfall hair and rainbows. Where are the rainbows? I don't see the rainbows. Why? What's with the garland thing? I don't know if I love that. The weird it's almost like a girl with long ass hair who wants to still have all this body to the hair. Just the hair. That's all I was referring to. Please, God, brain, stop. But they're like, I love scarves. And they're like, fuck it, sure. It's just floating behind me. How annoying would that be? You're talking to someone, and there's just this piece of fucking fabric just floating behind them. I grew up in the land, all right, of Aladdin, all right? No, I didn't. I grew up in the era of Aladdin. And it was a peak thing, all right? But this just feels like a cheap imitation of Aladdin's cool-ass carpet. I feel like number 2... Guys, there's a trend. And it's a fun trend. My God. I will say, as a person who enjoys design, there's a rose that is specifically red, that is kind of like the only bit of color that's abnormal from everything else that's around it. And it's pulling you into a little something, but who knows? Ooh, I like that little tattoo. Who is this? Is this Ra? No. Who the fuck is this? It's not Zeus. I don't know my Greek gods that well. Is it Hades? It's Hades. That's kind of a weird cut, a deep cut. I mean, I guess. I get the hair, the fire. It looks a little crazy. I'm fine. I don't know if I love that Hades is not as goth. I mean, I guess they're like, yeah, she's fire, though. Apollo? Is it Apollo? Okay, so it's not Hades. If Hades doesn't look like the most goth of all goths, I'm going to be upset, okay? But thus far, I like how it's just, yeah. They do a lot to try to be like, don't look at her eyes. She's got hair in it. Why didn't you look at her eyes? She's kind of sleepy. She's got kind of sloppy hair. But hey, the eyes? What's the point? What eyes? Stop looking at the eyes. Look at everything else. And you're like, all right, relax. Apollo, goddess of the sun. Yeah, I don't know the gods off the rip. Those scarves. Those scarf things are very much an Asian deity thing. Gotcha. Weird. I don't know if I like them. I find them a little bit too much. It just seems like a why thing. It's like, why is it? You're a god. You're like, yeah, I just wanted this floating fucking piece of fabric behind me. It's like, why? What's the problem? Apollo seems pretty chill. I wonder what the personality type is, because there's a lot of these VTubers where it's like the opposite of what you think it is. Like Apollo looks like she's a little bit of a freak, maybe got some yandere energy, maybe a little bit sleepy on occasion. And I bet she's just like, hi guys, so we're gonna be playing this game today. We're gonna have so much fun. And it's just like the most poppy, high energy thing ever. You're like, I like it. I like the contrast, but at the same time, what are we doing here? All right, what's happening? Boulder says, not gonna lie, I thought the top was see-through for a sec. Which one? Oh, I see. It is not. It is not. Eyesight be damned, it is not. Says, goddess of the sun, Apollo, and we may just be blinded by her headlights. Okay. Ew. Aries looks to be next. Is it Aries? Remember, ever since watching D-Mache, Apollo has always hit not right anymore. He's just a real creep in my eyes, and they just did a real number on him. This one, it looks a little odd. This one looks like it has definitely a different designer. Aries is like a war god, right? Aries only comes to mind as like... what is it? It's that damn, I don't know why Percy Jackson comes to mind. It's like Percy Jackson's love interest, and her mom's like a bad bitch, essentially. So I think that's what Aries is. But anyways, I'll be honest, you guys know how I feel about this. The weird demonic possession of a single hair follicle that's just pointing at shit is awful. Okay? I hate it. It's like a cowlick that is just rampant, and it's too much. I don't mind the swoosh on the side. That's fun. I don't know what it is. I've always hated the Dragon Ball Z shoulder pads. It look just mighty too much, and it's just the worst. But anyways, I don't know. I don't really love this one, to be honest. This one's my least favorite. I love the cool tats on the. She's a yandere. She got some blood on her face, maybe because she's a war god or something. As well as the eye difference. It's cute. I think it there's too much going on. What do you think? She's doing too much. She's doing too much. There's the hair shit happening. There's the color. There's the shoulder pads. There's the personality. Apparent. I think if we took off the shoulder pads, we kept the little dangly bit that makes it so her harada is not so visible. And then we could see her cool hair, because we can't even see her hair coming out really. Her hair comes out the back. She's got long ass hair. Very again, Dragon Ball inspired. Very spiky, very voluminous. And yeah, I like all that. They got a little scar on the stomach. That's fine too. Outside of that, I think there's just too much going on. There's just a lot. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like war mail, essentially, like chainmail shit. I don't know. It just seems like there's too much. My favorite out of the bunch is this one. Really? Oh, I mean, we don't have complete different tastes. I feel like this one's my least favorite. This one is not as bad. I just think I like the things. I just think there's too much things going on. Like I think there's like the hair is just such a my eyes focus to that. Then my eyes jumping to like the eyes, and it's like, okay, now there's that thing to look at, and then the shoulder pads taking me for a loop, and then there's the personality, and then there's the scar on the stomach, and it's just all this shit. Now my brain's just like, it's so much. But it's also weird because like she does have shoulder pads that are lean. She's got to have a preset where she takes off the damn like neck collar shit and shoulder pads, and she just got the little tiny little bracers on the shoulder. Too much indeed. Thank you, Bolte. I'm not alone in this. The eyes make me think of Zagreus from Hades. I don't hate that. Yeah. I see the comparison. Agar are exaggerative cowlicks. That what it is? Agus? Oh, I can't say that word. A and H should just not exist beside each other. How do you say that? Is it like a J or something? I fuck English. Who cares? Too much indeed. The eyes tend to be my favorite part of the VTuber model. So having them too obscure loses the point. I agree. I will say, to me, that's one thing I'm surprised I haven't seen too many VTubers do. I don't think I've seen, maybe not, I'm sure they have, but like, you know, Genshin has like the new character that's coming out. I think she's already out, but she had like those weird like cross-section eyes, and then there's people who have like a plus sign in their eyes, and then they have like an X and shit like that. Like I think that's a very fun thing. That I don't see too many VTubers do. Some have like a flower in their eyes. I don't see a lot of that happening, which I think is a doable thing because the eyes I think are done from everything else. What is this? Oh, I like the hair. The hair is fire. The hair is so good. Like just not focus on the bottom part, but the hair has got like that rock and roll messy look, short hair by the thing, but they're like gritty. So now we got some fucking side things as well. I forget what it's called. I like the hair of this one a lot. I also like that it kind of swoops in. This is a weird art style thing that I've always found charming. It looks very like cat-like. I don't know if that makes sense. Zeus? That makes sense. Zeus makes sense. Or is it? I don't know. The garland at the top makes me think not Zeus. No, it is Zeus. It's Zeus. I don't expect. I guess that makes sense. Zeus had that weird shit on his like the crown. Also, I'm sorry. I look like a sweaty, disgusting bastard. I'm sorry. It's getting hot. These lights kicking my ass. All right, boom. I like the gradient on the hair. I think it's really neat. I think it stands out. I really like the messy hair. I feel like this avatar nailed the messy hair look, where it's coming down. It's then got too much going on. Then there's more shit up here. It's fighting a little bit. Zeus be out here. I feel like, I don't know, I guess that just fit Zeus's weird shit where he just kind of feels like he's a god that's just like, you know what? Fuck off me. I just got out of bed. Kill yourself. Okay? You got a problem? I'm gonna fuck a random animal. Oh, please don't cut that. Voice, scene. Okay, gotcha. Perfect. What do you guys think about this one? I like the eyes too. The eyes have some gradient in there. There's some blue and pink, is it? Or is it red? I feel like the pupil is a little too short. It makes her look like a cat. But other than that, that's fine. The smile is a little weird. It's kind of got she got no nose, or it's obscured by her hair. But yes. It's gaze. I gotta be careful with that one. It's essentially how to pronounce. I'm not doing that. Even that didn't help. Zeus. I have. Fluff says. Lone says Zeus. I have yet to watch any of Zeus's content yet. I wonder what these personalities be, because that'd be yeah. Also, I realize how hard it would be to kind of like clip a thing that antithesis the personality. Alone says, but she does look cool. A bit blue. I like the blue hair. I feel like this one is my favorite thus far. This one is very neat. I will say the booba is a little bit more. I don't know why, but it feels less. Maybe it's because she's just not like stacked. She's not like fucking mega stacked. That it feels a little bit less like Jesus Christ. Coming from horny jail nonsense people. But she does look cool with the blue hair. Zeus, god of skies, so it fits. Oh, right, I forgot about that. That makes sense. I thought he was god of lightning, but who knows? Who shows I know? Oh, boys, this one, this one's Hades for sure. Ooh, this one is. I like it a lot. I do think it suffers from you're doing too much, but I think it's just a goth thing with me. I'm so broken mentally that this is the problem. I like it a lot. I wish I could see more of it because it's very tiny. She's got a little skull with crowns on it. She's got a little. I don't know what that is. Is that just like symbolize? She's got like some stalk, like grain on her head. I wonder if that's like, hey, I'm a god from. I don't know. The fact that she is basically a corpse is a very big negative. Okay, she looks dead like a corpse. A blue skin, always a rough sell. The eyes are actually great. I think the eyes are actually very like bright and nice, which a lot of the other ones, their eyes look like they're like the thing that doesn't really matter as much. This one's eyes looks pretty noticeable. She's also wearing a hyper mini skirt that looks like a jester almost with the weird spikes. What is she have a tat on her right leg? What is with every VTuber model having the worst turnout of leg position you've ever seen, where it's just like this? You're just walking with your fucking knees bent in like crazy. Is it because their ass is pointing? I don't know what it just looks weird. Your knees don't do that. Your knees don't fucking bow in that much. I think it's actually a thing called bow-legging. Is what it's called. It's tough. I want to say this is my favorite, although I do think it's doing a little bit too much. But when it zooms in at the top half, it doesn't look like it's that bad. I do just like that this one seems much more expressive. The eyes, the face, the mouth all seems like it's well done. Everything's great. Everything's great. I think this one might take my favorite, but I think Zeus is better composition as far as like there's not as much going on, but what is there is fire. This one is a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of it's good. Hard to describe. What is the thing to her side? Is it like a little star patch? Yeah, I wonder why the trend is a starfish, like a dark void starfish. Volty says, I want to be a bird, if you know what I'm saying. Sky God. I don't fly in the sky, fly through her sky. That says Lord of the Underworld, so I wouldn't be surprised. Disney Hades is also blue-skinned. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't dislike that. I just think it's tough. I don't know. I don't like the synonymous nature of like maybe she just looks dead, but she's not like cold like the snow. Lo says, no, I'm not gonna lie. This is my least favorite in terms of design. Really? I think the face is the best. I think if we just decapitated Hades and we just took that all in, I think that's my favorite. Because she does have like this spiral. That's crazy, Alone. I think she is also Twin Tail Supremacy person. Or is that just a Garland? I don't fucking see it. She does have a demon arm, I think, which is pretty fire. I think bow-legged is outwards. That would be a knock. This would be knock-kneed. Is that what it's called? Okay, knock-kneed. Fluff says Zeus, Poseidon, Apollo, Ares, Hades are my most to least preference designs. Zeus, Poseidon, Apollo, Ares. You all hate Hades. I like Hades' face. I think Hades has the best face as far as the eyes are pretty big, pretty visible. The mouth is like the most mouth-like, and then the hair is. I don't love the VTuber thing where the hair is like intersects between the eyes. I think that's a little bit like it's just messy. Makes it look very messy to me. But outside that, I think I do like Zeus's the most, and then she's a close second. Yes. The other ones I've forgotten about, which I apologize. I'm the worst. Zeus has a bird as a part of the metal top. Ooh, I didn't see that. Okay, that makes more sense. Holding up her hand. Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Nah, it was an eagle chest piece. But gotcha. I didn't see it. I'm again shows what I'm looking at. To be fair to me, I'm a face person and an eye person and a leg. And I don't hate the design. I just find it the least appealing out of the 5. Gotcha. Lone's sequence is he likes Ares the most. He likes Zeus's second. He likes Apollo's, Poseidon, and Hades. What was the other one? I feel like to me I like this one the least. I'm sorry, too much going on. I think I like this one. It's a toss up between both of these. I really do like both of these. I think it's just that it's clear. I actually had to change my. This is number 1 to me. Number 1. Number 2 is this one. Number 3 is this one. And then number 4 is this one. I don't know why. It just doesn't stand out nowhere. The water looks like too much. It's too much. And then this one's the last one I hate. I hate that one the most. But actually, the more I look at this one, the more I'm like, okay. It looks more chill. It looks, again, I'm a person that doesn't like too much shit. And when you're like, it's doing too much. I'm also not a boob guy, so don't go there. That's not why I chose this one. Although I will admit, positives. Fluff says, Hades and Ares have a lot going on, so it's harder to appreciate the subliminal detail. I agree. Bodhi says, my rating is the same as yours. As Lowe's? Or no, it's Fluff's. Gotcha. Fluff says, Poseidon looks better in motion, so her hair is on. That's true. I still feel like there's something weird looking. Like these two, to me, I think it's just like art style difference. But these two look very out of place. They look very strange. They both look different in a weird they don't like. This looks like something that I'm used to looking at. It looks like an actual image of a anime thing, whereas the other ones look like off a little bit to me. I know nothing, but yeah, have my gut feeling it's useless, frankly. But hey, she is definitely into how to what what. I like when I like when it's a lot going on, but it has to be designed in a way that makes it exactly that's the best way. Because I don't mind like more stuff. Like what do you call it? I can't think of one of the VTuber things that I liked a lot. Yeah, I can't think of it, but exactly what you said. Like when it doesn't just feel like there's just like, and it's funny because it's like a checklist of it for an artist. Like I want this, and then an artist has to come in and be like, it's not gonna look the way you think it does. Can I add like 4 of these and then I can make them work? And then if we wanted to add something, we could. And then most people are like, yeah, I want more. And you're like, okay, it's gonna look a little busy. Each one is different artists, so they would naturally fit into wouldn't fit into the same kind of like anime style. Yeah. Oh, you fit my rating? Let's go, Boldy. Let's go. Lone says Apollo and Zeus are a good example of less is more. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. Fluff says I don't need a model to be overly plain, but it shouldn't be covered in too many things. Yeah. You want to be able to like take in the specific thing. Also, I think it helps when you're like, to me, with just the hair, with the eyes, and with the like overall other stuff, it just kind of comes together as me being like, okay, I kind of have an idea of the archetype of like personality type this character is leaning into, which I feel like is 90% of what makes these things really cool. Like I feel like a lot of people get kind of it's like a not good thing within the VTuber community, which is like they're like, let's do all these things. Like I want this and then this and then this and then this. It's almost like when you're trying to like write a story for the first time and you end up just making like the most basic anime overpowered main protagonist. Everyone loves him. He saves the day. But then you realize you start getting bored as you're writing it because there's nothing there. There's nothing like to kind of like restrict you or like limit you in any way. Whereas when you're following into like a trope or like something that really speaks to you, like I'm a very like kind of like manic or like a spazzy kind of person a lot of the time, where like I go into things, and then I'm also very like curious about stuff sometimes, and then I smile a lot, I think, because I laugh. I try to make myself laugh all the time. I also try to make you guys laugh as much as possible. So like I think if we ever made a character like that, it would look kind of like cheeky and grinny and smiley and like always kind of having that smile that kind of hints at like this silliness, I guess. Yeah, you know. Whereas sometimes VTubers, like I don't even know, like the character that you're showing me doesn't give me any hints to what you are as or who you are as a person, and like what your personality type might be and how you react to things and things like that. Which maybe is just my preference. I like when it kind of all like Lone was saying, it kind of flows into the natural state of who you naturally are and what you naturally react to things as, you know, things like that. Omar Polka is a great example of often having too much going on, especially with one of her newest outfits, but her latest outfit is refreshingly simple. That's nice. Now, where it's a lot of black, red, gold, and red palette outer layers. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, I see what you mean. I wonder what that would look like. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been a blast. Thank you guys, Lone, for doing this. This is a really fun thing just to kind of bank off of. I am terrified, always, that like there's a 0.1% chance. That's not how the math works, but it's a very small chance that like a person could ever see this, and I have no negative will in my heart towards anybody. So yeah, I'm always like, maybe we shouldn't do this, but it's just our little community. This ain't gonna go anywhere. So it's always fun to kind of like look at these things and kind of talk about them. So I appreciate you bringing this up to us. It's always fun. We might have to ask Fluff the same thing. Be like, hey Fluff, for next stream, accrued like 7 or 8 VTubers that you like the look of, and we could look at them and debate which one is the best for our personal lists. Alone says Apollo definitely is my favorite in terms of a personality. She's very sweet. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice. Fluff says being an agency VTuber is tough as you only get so much input on your personal. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think so. It's not always a personal choice. I always find though that a lot of the agency ones do seem less is more kind of thing. Whereas a lot of the ones I see that are personal interests, they're like, I have this little cute hat that's barely on my head, and my hair's all crazy, and my eyes are different, and I have like this scar on my face, and I have like this bouquet of roses on my neck, and it's just like, too much, too much, less, please. But also, express yourself, do what you want. To me, it's my own dumb shit in my head that I think looks nice. The agency, personal input, base model, often being selected if they suit the initial person. Oh, that's cool, because they do, then agencies, they kind of have a fit for the personality type. I also find that it's a voice thing. Do you guys agree with that? Like, I remember like one of the new VSojo members, I think, was a dude who came out, and he has like this like zombie-like person, and his voice just to me was never what like I assumed ever was what this avatar would sound like. And yeah, but I don't know if it's like there's some sort of like again, Iron Mouse, tiny little demon lady, and her voice is the smallest mouse thing you've ever heard in your life, which is great. But yeah, so like to me, I don't know why. Like to me, I also think that's apparent, which is tough. Which is like you're trying to find that like balance of like my voice facilitates the character look as well. I guess a lot of weird like tuning I think would go on when you're making an avatar like this. Gun Mara face aside, Apollo looks cozy. Yeah, it's true. Lone says that would be sick, Fluff. Bring us your 7 VTubers for next stream, if you don't mind, of course. Many of the newer VSojo members of Nishanjin, Ian, refugees, Koro, amongst. Oh, is that what it was? Okay, I didn't know the deeper cut there. Gotcha. Bonnie says, I've got a new VTuber I have to listen to. Ooh! He's a British film. No, I know, I get it. To me, I don't know the nationality or anything like that. It was one of those things where like there's been a couple times where I'm like, oh, that person doesn't sound at all like the way I remember. I thought the same thing was like this very like I don't know how to say this properly, but I remember watching this like anime reacts person, and it was this dude who talked in a very specific way. I remember the specific friends from high school and all this stuff who spoke in this specific way, and he looked like a fucking what's the Kingdom Hearts kid? Like the Kingdom Hearts guy, Sora, is that what his name is? He looked like him, like this white guy with a cap on, looking like a like I'm the hero kind of vibe. And then he was just like, yo, what's good, my dudes? Here we go. We're rating all of the hottest moms in anime. I was just like, this seems weird. This just threw me for a little bit. It was great. Fluff says, I'll find decent pictures and send them to Grin. Let's go! All right. Message me on the Discord. Message me from you and me's thing, not the Dragon's Dogma thing, because I'll lose it in the sea of things going on. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you kindly for hanging out with me this fine day. Go check out some of these fantastic VTubers. I'm sure you can just type them in, VTubers, Apollo, Zeus, and I'm sure you'll find them. From one of the ones you look and you like. They seem great. I don't know if the personalities are fantastic and brilliant, but I bet they are, because a lot of these VTubers are just sweet and nice. Yes. Yeah, let's just say that. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I can see you again on Monday, where we'll be having a stream. Whenever that update is live, it'll probably be at 1 or 5. If it is at like 4 or 12, I'll just do it at 1 or 5. Or, yeah, at the end. Ah, fuck, tomorrow, that's gonna suck. I have to work out on Monday. I'm gonna be dead. It should be fine. It should be okay. Heart attack. What's the worst that can happen? Rating all the hottest mobs in anime, and might need to check that one out. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lone. Ladies and gentlemen, there is also a video on the Mind Palace of Madness channel. It is a cheeky little video going over a very, very cool bit of VR tech that's being developed. It's a very cool physics-based thing. Actually, before we end, Fluff, you watched some of that video, right? What do you think when you watch the clips that I showed? Not my dumb ramblings about how much I adore this creation, and me just trying to like show this off, whilst also not trying to take up too much time, which I ended up doing. Anyway, what did you see, like how crisp some of the movement looked like and stuff like that? I was happy I seen one person comment that, which is basically like, yeah, the movement looks crazy. which I feel like the movement's probably the best example of like that just stuff looking different. But there's a couple moments where like he's passing around his like the bat essentially, and it's just so fluid as he's like grabbing it and spinning it around, and it's just like everything is where it's supposed to be. I'm sure I'm gonna get some comments about people being like, well, yeah, this is in engine, so of course it's gonna be stable. Like when you get me to try to run this through a PC that has different hardware, it could fall apart for sure. But those are problems that every game has, and they still end up broken. So yeah, there was a few moments where I was like, man, that looks good. Especially again, the one thing that looks wild is I wish I did edited it better because I kind of showed the clip twice, but the clip of him taking a ball, like a hamster ball, throwing it into water, then getting into the hamster ball, and then walking, and there being like zero jitter, zero confliction, zero like breaking. And then he falls out of the ball. I wish I slowed down that mechanic too, because he falls out of the ball because he accidentally like runs full circle around the ball, and then the hole that he entered into is by his feet. He falls into the pool, and then as he's falling out, he like taps his finger on the edge, and it doesn't like spring like this because his like body momentum is so heavy and he's so strong that he can just do that. Instead, he taps it, and the ball slowly rotates this way again. So it doesn't end up at the top of the roof, so he's like, there's no way that he can get back into the ball. But instead of it perfectly goes this way, he swims, enters in the hole at the very bottom, pulls himself up without like any sort of smackiness, and then he's just in the ball again, walking around. And I'm just like, what the fuck? That's insane. Fluff says, it looked impressive. Seems like a great next step for Fable. Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope he gets it out. I hope it releases well. I don't know if the video will do well. It's the thumbnail I think is good. I just don't know if the subject matter is interesting. I think I maybe spent too much time connecting it to the previous video we made of the game on the topic of like the state of VR and stuff like that. I think I need to do a better job by getting into the content rather than like connecting it to why we're talking about this in the past or from previous videos. But, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I can see you once again on Monday. I appreciate everyone for hanging out with me. Again, go check out that video if you so desire. Love you to bits, and goodbye. Bye, friends.